Not to sound like a crazy person, but one of my favorite things is a rear naked strangle or rear naked choke.
Okay.
When that choke is properly set in, you will hear people gurgle. And it is one of my favorite things. I know it's a bit much, but yeah, like low key.
You mean just when they're trying to breathe, they're gurgling?
Oh, yeah.
What's up, guys? I'm here to tell you this episode is brought to you by Crowd Health. Crowd Health is a new, fast-growing, tech-enabled, well-capitalized, community-powered alternative to traditional health insurance. Founded by Andy Schoonover, a proven founder and entrepreneur with a successful track record, including a $100 million plus exit. By the way, Andy's been on this podcast in the past. Crowd Health uses the power of crowdfunding, member ratings, unlimited choice, and huge cash pay discounts to provide a simple, considerably less expensive solution to managing your medical bills. Crowd Health gives you full agency and sticks with you no matter where you move or what jobs you take on. You've heard of Big Pharma, but you may not know Big Insurance is actually the man behind the curtain. With 12 of the last 15 heads of the FDA taking jobs in Big Pharma and 64% of its funding coming from private industry, don't hold your breath waiting for the government to save the day. It's safe to say our system's broken. It's time to take your well-being into your own hands, and Crowd Health helps you do just that. You'll pay into your individual account monthly, and if you ever want to leave, you'll simply pay a $250 closing fee, and they will return the entire balance in your account to you because it's your account. Because it's crowdfunded, we all have a vested interest in each other's health. They even cover up to $300 a year in routine wellness visits. So far, for every $100 members have paid into their accounts, an average of only $30 has been paid out. So you can expect to see your money grow in your account over time. Take that, Big Insurance. Join today by visiting joincrowdhealth.com and using the promo code KLP to pay only $99 a month for the first 3 months. That's joincrowdhealth.com, promo code KLP. Joincrowdhealth.com. Get you some. Kobe, I think we're going to want to turn that thing off. I'm a little nervous about it. You want to just turn it off? Yeah. And then if it starts getting too hot in here. I bought this AC unit this afternoon because it just gets so warm down here.
No worries.
And we were debating about just leaving it on and turning the gateway up, but...
Do you have the exhaust vent hooked up?
I do.
Okay, I was going to say, I saw it blowing air. I was like, we're going to die.
Right now, the exhaust vent is going into the crawl space of the house. Yeah, that's not a good idea.
No, that's a bad idea, too.
I know, but I hooked it up an hour and a half ago, so it did cool the garage off for tonight.
I was going to say, yeah, some air. I'm not sweating. I don't have air in my car, so anything is better than that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, my goodness. Yeah, the cigarette thing, I smoked my first cigarette my entire life probably 6 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah. And
wait, how old are you?
I'm 38.
Okay.
And I'll tell you right now, dude, if I was around, well, let me say this. They could be a problem for me very quick.
Oh,
very quick.
They're incredible, right?
I think they probably are ready for a problem for me.
Oh, really?
I think so. Yeah, this is the third pack. I got 2 packs, and then I only smoked through probably half of them, and I threw them away, and then I got this pack more recently again.
You're already addicted. That's what like crackheads do.
Dude, listen, dude. Those things are ridiculously addictive. Yeah. Ridiculously addictive.
Dude, yeah, no shit.
I don't know if people understand. I didn't understand. I mean, I heard about this, but if I was around in the 50s when the doctors and nurses and the TV news anchors and the media and everyone was saying that cigarettes were healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be dead already because I'd have been smoking a pack a day. For sure. They're awesome.
What is it about that you enjoy?
They, first of all, I just like the process of smoking. Pretty much anything. I just enjoy smoking. Like that process. I just really enjoy it. So there's that. They taste great. And then they have a really nice high. It's very, very short, but it's very, very powerful.
But doesn't that go away? Like the nicotine hit?
Oh, it goes away in like 5 minutes, like 3 minutes.
But like if you smoke cigarettes for like 10 years, by the time you got to year 10, you probably would be like, I just need these to live.
100%, 100%. That's why I'm gonna need to do. But I've just, I'm in a season right now. I'm just justifying it, just using them to my advantage.
Nice.
But, but then I'll kick him to the curb when the time is right.
Yeah. What an interesting thing vice is.
Yeah, I know.
Because like I had an interesting conversation with Nat about, this subject or whatever, but it's like she doesn't like that I would, partake per se, but like her issue with anything really is like I will use things to cope.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
her issue with you is that you will use things to cope, you're saying?
Yeah, so like I've used food, I've used video games, I have used music, I've used, whatever. Honestly, anything that could be used for good, I've attempted to use for evil probably at some point. And so her apprehension, I told her, I was like, I respect that and appreciate it, because in some sense it's like a compass for me, because you're seeing better than I am sometimes, because you're,
Yep, for sure. Well, okay. And by the way, we've started, so Kobe can cut in on this conversation wherever he wants to, if you're comfortable with that.
Oh, yeah. I'm
okay. Do you think that I sometimes wonder, it looks to me like Mariana doesn't deal with some of the same need for coping mechanisms that I do. Do you think that's a guy-gal thing? Like, does Natalie need coping issues as much as you do? It sounds like maybe not. Because my issue is in the evenings. Okay. So no issue in the morning. Get up, go to the gym, great. Come back, 2 eggs, half-pound ground beef, great. Go to work, great. Feel great, all good, right? I have coffee. Like 3 cups of coffee in the morning. So that's coping to an extent. But, I mean, everyone drinks coffee, right? So I don't feel like that's coping.
Everyone's doing drugs, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
So all good there.
Yeah.
But someone has said before the mornings are for remembering and the evenings are for forgetting.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And I feel like about 7 o'clock, 6:30, 7:30, somewhere in that window, work's kind of done, maybe had dinner. It's that little window before I either go to sleep or like maybe watch a show or something. That feels like a very long window for me. That's where I need something to kind of cope.
Yeah.
Or whether it's a drink or smoke something, that type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's how it is for me. It's in the evening.
We call it the witching hour.
Okay.
Like 4 o'clock till kids go to sleep is basically the world turns into chaos.
Yeah.
And every once in a while I'm, aware enough to see the beauty in it, but it's like, kids are home and they're wound up because they've been doing whatever you do at school, and they're ready to like go hard, and then dinner and bedtime. And for me, I've been dealing with all my whatever all day. Yeah. So by the time I get there, and then you have, people tugging at you constantly. Right. There's like that. Yeah. You're just like, okay, no, I have zero patience. And you may be small and tiny, but I hate you. Yeah. Please stop. Can you say that? I don't know. Yeah. But just like, the patience is completely gone.
Yeah, totally. It feels like there's an hour or two there in the evening where time just goes really slow. You know what I mean? It just goes really slow. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
you ever
funny.
think about how we're going to be dead soon?
All the time.
Do you really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
I don't know why I was thinking about that before he came over here. I was like, you know what? In 50 to 60 years, we're going to be dead, and
Dan's coming. I'm going to think about dying.
How old are you?
I'm 37.
Oh, okay. We're close to the same age.
Super close.
So, we might have 50 years, probably not 60. And probably not much longer than that. But in a few years, like your body's going to be under the ground rotting, and mine is going to be too. Like
it's bizarre.
It's just going to be at some point bones soon.
Mm-hmm.
I think people justify it with thinking about how they're going to have a legacy. But I've been thinking about this more recently too. I think living your life for the sake of legacy is a bad idea.
I agree. I don't think legacy means much of anything. I mean, there's obviously legacies that are excruciatingly important. Martin Luther King Jr. I mean, musical legacies. Kurt Cobain. I mean, people who are inventing genres and everything. Like, we need like legacies. But as far as like me as a dad, as a man, like as a person who cares for like my family and those around me, like legacy doesn't really cause me to change anything that I do and doesn't really sit in my mind for very long.
Yes, I think that's very good because I think that if someone lives their life for legacy, then I guess it's not going to matter whether that worked or not. They're going to be dead and gone. So I guess maybe it doesn't matter that much. But I think the raw truth is 99.999% of people get forgotten very, very quickly.
Yeah, totally.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Like, I know my grandparents' names, but I cannot tell you my great-grandparents' names.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm supposed to know them or not. I have no idea. No idea what their names were.
Totally.
I could take a pretty good guess at their last names, but that's about it.
What if you got it wrong, though?
Yeah.
Dang it. I'm really bad at this.
I mean, that's not very far. Like, what is that?
Right.
100 years? 75 years? You know what I mean? What?
Yeah, maybe 75 is closer because you like their youngest or whatever.
You just get forgotten so quick.
Yeah, I mean, more so than anything, I think when I think about legacy, it's more so probably the people that are closer, which is why I feel like probably why considering death forces me to at least try to be more present for my family. Like, it's because like for some stupid reason, I have more patience for like a stranger in the store who bumps me than I do my kid who just poked my leg one too many times, which is like the most ass backwards thing on the planet. Honestly, I've been thinking about this a lot recently too. It's just like what, why do I have so much Like I am the director for the kids program at the gym that I train at Enzo Gracie, Nashville. Come train.
Yes. And, congratulations, because that's a new development, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, okay. We're about a week and a day deep. It's been great. I love it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, super new. But like, you know, when I run those classes and when I deal with the coaches, like I have this like unbelievable amount of patience. But then I come home and I'm so frustrated with myself because it's like, dude, why didn't I have 5% more patience to just deal with my own blood?
Yeah.
You know, like my own family.
Yes.
Like,
there's something about that. There's something about that. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. It feels super unfair.
Well, you know what? At the bottom of it, it's possible. It's possible at the bottom of that is like an evil, you know?
Explain.
Because I don't know that that's exactly what it is, because I think what it is you're just with them so much. And yeah, it might have been the first time or the 10th time they tapped your leg that day needing something, but it was probably the 1,000th overall time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think there's
gracious.
a logic to the thing. Right. But yeah, I've been wondering recently why I seem to be resisting connection with my kids. And I don't know really why that is. But what I was saying beneath the evil is like, you know, there's a lot of good that can come if you are engaged with your kids, connected with your kids, protect your kids, have fun with your kids, kind of show them the way, just be there for them when they need you. You know, that really does make very good humans.
Right.
And, you know, I think there is good and evil in this world. So the evil, if it's aware at all, would, I think, probably not want that. You know, it might want you to not connect with your kids so much, or
totally,
you know,
yeah.
So, okay, so you
I wish I had questions for you.
You did not.
I do have a couple, but I forgot them.
Yep. You did not want to talk about the fact that you're a black belt Jiu Jitsu for some reason.
You son of a bitch.
We're going to talk about it anyway. Why do you not want to talk about that? I don't understand that.
I like to hide in plain sight, man.
Okay. All right. Well, no longer hiding in plain sight. What? How long did that take you to get a black belt?
11 years. So I've been training for This February makes about 14, this past February. And so 11. I'm 3 years deep into my black belt now, which is fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
How do you think you see the world differently as a black belt than people that have never done any jiu-jitsu whatsoever?
Yeah, I feel like part of my answer might be a little unfair because I'm like just a larger person, like my stature, I'm just a bigger guy. But like me personally, like I now feel extremely comfortable in most situations, like in public or whatever. I'm not really, I still obviously have a healthy respect for guns and knives and things like that. But like the idea that someone's going to, start something with my wife at a restaurant and end up on the good side of it, I don't even really think about it. Or like, I think when you're unsure, like when you're insecure, you probably, people seem to fantasize like scenarios where they can act out and defend and protect their family and this and that. But like, I don't really feel the need to do that like at all. And it's kind of like, it's kind of helped make sense of that. I think additionally too, I'll give you one more thing. It has helped me come to peace with the fact that like I have to release like that built up, like everyone has this, like men and women equally, but I do believe that men are just wound in a different way where we need to exert ourselves physically, or else that just adds up and you just become more pent up and more insane.
Yes.
And I feel like I am 100% aware that if something is off, especially with something like that with my patients, like when I train a lot, the tank is deeper for social scenarios, and the ability to like calm myself and think, okay, what are my options here, and kind of suss through them. Like I think that is a gift of jiu-jitsu for sure.
So do you think that on the confidence front, because there's two parts, and I want to talk about both of them because I think there's a lot to both. On the confidence part, this was someone from our gym named Tim. I forget what belt he's on right now. He might be purple or brown. But he mentioned, that's the first thing he mentioned, because he was trying to get me into jiu-jitsu for some time, and he loved it. But what I saw with him was he was very consistent with CrossFit, and then he got into jiu-jitsu, and he loved it so much it started to trump CrossFit. And now he pops in and works out whenever he wants to, but it's like very sporadic. Yeah. So he loves it. And he was mentioning just the settledness that you feel when you can pretty much, if you're in a bar, something goes down, you just sort of have this sense that you're going to be able to handle whatever happens.
Totally.
So there's a settledness that comes, I guess, from the confidence.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, I feel like you put yourself, Navy SEALs who train gun handling or something, they probably do that so much. It's just not even, when there is an adrenaline dump, it's still hard for that to deter them much because their bodies are just so broken into the feeling of dealing with adrenaline or stress or intensity. And I feel like in a similar way, your boss can yell at you in your face, but maybe your boss will, and I don't know, but your boss isn't going to try to strangle you until you fall asleep,
Right.
Like, there aren't many scenarios more intense than essentially simulated murder, you know, like
so perspective, it gives you perspective.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And then it allows you to go much further than you could in any scenario legally. Like you blast double the clerk at Walmart because they disrespect you.
Yeah.
You slam them into an armbar. You're going to jail, man.
Yes.
But, I did that a couple times today.
Yeah. But what I've noticed is, I would say particularly black belts, is that they are very chill. There seems to be a correlation in jiu-jitsu between how experienced you are at it and how good you are at it and how chill you are.
Yeah. I think
what is that? What is that? Is that just what we're talking about? The confidence or the exertion of energy? Because this was another thing that one of the dudes there that trains there is a physical therapist at...
Oh, Griffin.
Yes, Griffin.
Oh, man, we should shout him out because that place is awesome.
That PT place?
Yes, across the street.
That PT place is awesome. Josh Rankins was on this podcast. He's the co-owner of it.
Oh, Resilient, HP.
Yes. Yeah. Resilient Health and Performance in Brentwood.
Yeah.
And
Griffin's awesome.
Yeah, that place is awesome. And he was saying that it makes you feel tired in your soul. And he said this when I was in there getting my back worked on before I had ever trained. And after the first time or two I went in there, and, you know, actually it was the first time I went in there because I didn't know what I was doing and I went way too hard. And you did. I felt tired in my soul. It's like a thorough tiredness, like a complete tiredness.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe if guys that are training hard like that a lot, it just sort of like resets or something.
Dude, totally. I mean, I think there's maybe arguably three facets. One is like a consequence, but you have the first thing is the physical exertion. It's not like anything most people, if you've never done jiu-jitsu, you come into a class and if you even put an ounce of effort into it, you will not be able to walk the next day. It's just so alarming how much of your body is engaged in that sport versus CrossFit or lifting or swimming. Honestly, like many like guys who do that, they cross train with other things. They run, they lift, they do, because jiu-jitsu isn't necessarily giving you those things either when you're trying to be at a extremely elite level. But if you're just an average person, you go to the gym a couple of days a week, you're running or rowing, you swim, you do this and that, you go train jiu-jitsu, it's going to beat the hell out of you for day one.
Yes.
So I think there's the physical facet. And then I do believe there's the emotional, like you have to be so focused and so present when you do jiu-jitsu or there it is, you're tapping. You know, like the second you start to fade, you go somewhere else, you pay for it. Like you physically pay for it. Next thing you know, someone's on your back and they're trying to strangle you. And it's like, oh, well, great. I'm glad I got to think about what I was eating for lunch because now I have to do
now it
this.
costs you.
Yeah, exactly. And, price and cost, right?
Yeah.
And then I think the third thing, which is like a really cool unspoken, is like it forces you to kind of live the rest of your life in a way where you don't suffer more when you go in there. For instance, drinking late at night if you got a class in the morning, like if you train in the morning, eating like really crappy foods all the time. Like I stopped the class that I take is at 9 a.m. I stopped eating breakfast because of that class. It's just, I can't train with food in my stomach. I've always been that way. So like if I took a 6 o'clock class, I would eat an apple or something at like no later than 4:30, like no later than 4:30. But even just thinking about like training at the end of the day forces me to make choices with my nutrition. And obviously 90% of being shredded is what you eat.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Like not even, so not that I am an example of that, but so I think that nice kind of third thing, it's just a really comprehensive. So imagine being that comprehensive and that intentional and becoming used to and comfortable with draining that kind of adrenaline out of your body, like exerting that force of being humbled. I mean, humiliated, depending on where your ego's at, but like everybody's got it. And like when you tap, it's like death is on the other side of that if you don't. So it's like, okay, well, there's no other way than saying I lost. And we start over, which is great. There's always another chance. But I think what happens to your ego dealing with that constantly, and it doesn't go away. Like there are guys at our gym who are purple belts who just give me absolute hell, and it sucks in the moment to get bested by someone who's smaller than you and has been training half the time you have. But it's great because then it's like, it bothers me. And I'm like, that's my ego.
Yes.
And I have to calm down and be okay with this because this is going to allow me to grow in many ways, the ego that I'm dealing with now. And also like, I'm going to work a little bit harder to get better at that move,
Yeah. Well, okay. So do you think that, cause my understanding is basically, there's always going to be someone better, right?
Oh, always.
And what's so clarifying about doing something like jiu-jitsu is that's so clear and prevalent. You can't deny, like there's just always going to be someone better.
Yeah.
But in outside of that, like sometimes in life you can live in fantasy land. You know what I mean?
Dude,
you can
yeah,
think of yourself as like pick one very particular thing and just think you're the best or something,
Yeah.
But there's no fantasy land in jiu-jitsu. There's always someone better. So there is a humbling element to that.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever box at all?
Yeah, man, I did. Well, I never did boxing, but I did Muay Thai and Sanshao for a quite a bit. Yeah.
Because a few years ago, maybe 2017, 2016, I was trying, I think is it called title boxing, whatever that main one is.
Title kickboxing,
it's really for cardio. Like I wasn't, 95% of the people in that class, including me, was not there to like learn how to fight or actual box. It was just cardio.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, boxing is such intense cardio.
Yeah,
and it feels
crazy.
Yes, and jiu-jitsu felt similar
to
me. Just by the way, I only did it for 2 months, so I don't know anything about it. But
no, you're coming back
in that short in that short period of time, it did feel like it was similar to boxing.
Yeah,
in terms of cardio, because what's crazy about boxing is you hit that bag, they'll be like, all right, now 45 seconds or 60 seconds, we're gonna go, and that's about all you can really do before you just need a little break.
Oh yeah, dude. It's so interesting because like the stand-up game is I would argue a different type of cardio. I have no scientific like basis for thinking this way, but like the cardio that you have from like getting comfortable at jiu-jitsu, like it might even be like a cheat code where like I've definitely like my game has slowed down and I've done my best to learn how to like maul and slowly bake people from like a top position and not necessarily have to be like moving like no, I am a grizzly bear slowly eating you alive. That's my goal. Just hanging out slow.
Yes.
Not worried about it.
But is that kind of your particular strategy, or is that just a sign that you're getting good? Because the good people seem to do that.
It's probably a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Getting old, getting fat, getting tired. But I mean, and yeah, you can like pick up the pace and get more cardio out of it. But also at the same time, like, Sean will have us do 10-minute rounds. And so we'll go an hour of 10-minute rounds after a class.
Oh. But wasn't mine were always just 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
10-minute rounds.
Yeah, it's crazy. But there's a lot of reasoning behind it. But that being said, like even that, and you go hard on the paint with your homies, like whatever, I could take a kickboxing day the next day and be dead in 5 minutes. It's just completely different. I can't explain it, but yeah, like.
What do you mean? What are you saying there? I didn't understand. In
regards to cardio,
right?
Like the cardio that you have for the ground is completely different. It's almost like as different as they are of skill sets. I would say the cardio is different too. It's really, really weird.
Yep.
Really weird. I can, like I said, dude, I can go for an hour of rolls after an hour class and tired, of course. Yeah. And do I get tired during rounds? Absolutely. But you put me in a 30-minute cardio kickboxing class, and I promise you 5 minutes in, I'm going to be doing the deep breaths where you feel the bottom of your lungs that you never touch,
Yeah.
It's insane.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, in my classes that I would have been, we had that training, and then I feel like there was 3 5-minute rolls, or was there 4?
It probably depends on your time restraints, but pretty common would be, your classes were typically an hour, right?
1 hour.
Yeah, 3 is probably good because that's 15 minutes. So you've got like the warm up, then you've got any sort of like drilling if you're doing grip fighting or passing or whatever. So you pass through, you're doing your drills, and then maybe 20 minutes or so of instruction because you have 1 or 2 techniques, but then there's also switching back and forth, like practicing with your partner, and then maybe tweaks to it. So then you go back and do it again. Yeah. 3.
But whatever it was, I would often skip one of them.
Really?
Yeah, because I would just be gassed, dude. Yeah. Gassed.
Brutal.
Well, and also partly because I really didn't want to get tapped out. You know what I mean? I really didn't.
Gotta.
I did a couple of times, but you really don't want to, Yeah. And the only thing I had going for me, because I had no skill, it was just the strength. So you either have the strength, and as you know, that
fails.
That is actually what's interesting. Like, that doesn't cut it in jiu-jitsu.
No,
not even close.
Not even close.
But that's all I would have. So when you're trying. When that's all you have and you're using your strength, that takes an immense amount of energy.
Oh yeah.
So
absolutely.
I wouldn't even most of the time wouldn't even roll all 3 of the rounds, like just like sit out the middle one, try to catch my breath, go back in again.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the second thing of what you said? The first was in the confidence, and the second, just that physical interaction with other dudes, because it's like the only place you get it in life, unless you have another experience. But I don't ever tussle with my friends. You know what I mean?
Oh.
I don't ever like horse around with dudes.
The conflict of sparring, essentially.
Yeah, just the
safe,
the body to body tussling around with dudes.
Yeah, no, I don't.
You know, like I remember years when I was a kid. I mentioned this before when Tito was on here, but when I was a kid, I remember my uncles tussling a lot at Christmas and Thanksgiving whenever they would get together.
Yeah.
It's like that was back in the, late 80s or early 90s. But no one does it anymore,
Yeah.
But it was like very common.
It's so funny. I mean, that's even in like movies we saw growing up. I feel like I can think of scenes in movies where like, oh, dad and his brother doing it again.
Exactly. Yes. But that's not really a thing anymore. And this is like one of those rare leftover places where you can still like get physical with dudes.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's some value in that.
Oh, I mean, I think there's so much value in that. I
wonder what that is.
I think one of the things I like about, like, for instance, like our church or like something like Jiu Jitsu is like you kind of become so intertwined with these people. You see them regularly. Like some people who don't have families, like kids or wife, or, whatever, they're there more than they would be seeing a spouse or a significant other. I mean, and honestly, some people who are dating, they're there. They're a ton too, right?
Yeah.
But you're around these people a lot. So you're putting in physical time with them. And then there's something about combat that bonds you with people. And I can't explain it. Like I'm becoming pals with these guys that I have almost nothing in common with, some of them. We probably disagree on plenty of things in regards to life or not ethos, but politics, or who knows, or like how you treat this person or this type of person or whatever. I don't know. We may not agree on everything, but like all of that literally goes away because it's like, oh, hey, listen, I did this. If you do this next time, you'd get out. And how'd you do that thing? Like, can you show me? Like, there's so much back and forth on top of the combat. There's so much openness in that regard. And I guess human vulnerability, like, tapping is like surrendering.
Yes.
And it goes back and forth. I mean, I'm not, I get tapped plenty, but I'm also dishing them out. And it's cool because you're getting in, it pushes you deeper into connection with people.
Yes.
It's super important.
And you're talking specifically about experiencing combat with someone. And I wonder if that is like maybe another level deeper than experiencing suffering with someone. Because I feel like one of the bonding things at CrossFit is experiencing suffering with other people.
Oh, yeah. You guys are all miserable.
I think it is the thing that people come back for and they respect in the other people that are there. I think it's sort of the underlying bond in CrossFit is suffering.
Yeah.
And like we're junkies for it, Like,
yeah, definitely.
I mean, when you go into the gym and suffer, and then you're done for the day, it feels awesome. Dude, I switched to 6 a.m. because Lincoln can make it to 6 a.m. now. So
you're a monster.
That feeling of from...
I die for an hour every morning.
From 7:30 to 9, it's like it's becoming my favorite 90 minutes of the day.
Yeah.
Workout's over, you just suffered, and then you're kind of recovering, get some protein, coffee. Oh, it feels so good.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
but it costs. Like, it costs. Like you got to pay to get that feeling.
Yeah.
But it's suffering, and that's what I think bonds the CrossFit community.
Yeah.
But I don't know that jiu-jitsu is suffering. Would you say that's like bonding through combat? Which I wonder if it's like
there's
even
plenty
another
of suffering.
Yeah.
I would say it's just different, But to your point of combat, maybe. I mean, I'm not really. I don't remember what it was like to not
suffer or combat people.
Both. But like to your question of doing it for a long time, you know, which for whatever it's worth, like my professor, shout out to Sean Williams, he's been a black belt longer than I've been training. Wrap your head around that. Anyways.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old is he?
I believe he's in his late 40s.
Okay.
Or mid 40s, sorry. And he's been a black belt, I believe, for 21 years.
Holy cow.
Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this year was 21. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. But even if it was 20, holy balls.
Yeah,
it's a long
no doubt.
time,
No
right?
doubt.
So, yeah, like when I think about it, so I'm 37. I've been training for 14 years. So that would have put me starting around 23. I'm like, we're encroaching into that part of our lives where we're starting to have done things longer than we haven't. Mm-hmm. You know, like I've been out of school longer than I was in school.
Yeah.
That kind of weird, like, yo, I'm too old for this shit, bro.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so when I think about, like, does it help because it is like, I would have to almost recall what it was like to not, and I can't.
Right.
Like I can't. I can think about the time when I didn't, sure, but do I know do I remember what it fees like that way? It's kind of like hard to like empathize with my own self that far back.
I think that's when you know you've developed a pretty solid habit, dude. You know what I mean?
I'm a junkie,
like,
for sure.
No, but in a very good way.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
when you can't remember what it would be like to not suffer or experience this combat, experience this, you know, constant humility, progressing towards perfection all the time and never attaining it. You know, that's a great sign.
Yeah. I mean, I've never thought about that. So thank you for asking, but you know,
how do you avoid injuries?
Dude, I feel like a spokesperson for my gym right now, but this is definitely the first gym I've ever trained at where I've seen so few injuries and I've been able to recover injuries while actively training. Like the culture and the ethos there place so much emphasis in control that like injuries almost never happen. And when they do, they're usually freak accidents. But like, yeah, I mean,
so when you say injury, you mean bad injury? No,
like, I mean, well, I guess, yeah. What do you, I mean, when I think of injury, yeah, I'm thinking like when I started training there, I had a knee brace on because my patella was like swollen in my left knee. And now I don't use a brace anymore. My patella is fine. So when I think about injuries, yeah, I definitely think your shoulder is dislocated or you or you tear an ACL or something. Do you mean like rug burn on your fingers or your feet or something? No,
that. I guess I mean injuries that cause you to not be able to train because, you know, I was interested in jiu-jitsu for a long time, man, and almost did it back in 2020 when my boys started training at Artista in Green Hills.
Yeah.
And then I just didn't for a few reasons, but anyhow, finally did it, you know, starting in November of this past year, thanks to you were like the final kind of, you know, kick to the butt and go. But it was injuries, time, and money, probably kind of in that order that I was like, man, I was 2 months in and I was like, dude, I really do feel like a quitter. But also I couldn't stay healthy between CrossFit and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like at first it was just your joints are sore, you're sore in different ways.
Yeah.
No big deal. But yeah, when I mean injury, I mean like you can't really go train the next day or you really have to be careful about a movement.
Yeah.
I have back issues and that was flaring up and CrossFit you get tons of injuries with CrossFit too if you're not careful. So it was like the two of them combined. I could not stay healthy, dude.
Yeah.
But maybe that was an exceptionally, I mean, I feel like I'm injury prone. It doesn't sound like everyone's dealing with injuries quite to that extent.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but I can make some guesses. I mean, one, those two things, as you've addressed, are excruciatingly taxing on your body. So you would have like doing, I mean, yeah, CrossFit and jiu-jitsu is a lot, but there's plenty of people who do strength training and conditioning in addition to, I can't say that I know anyone who does CrossFit and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And
Tito does basically CrossFit type stuff, but I think he does it at his house.
Yeah, like hits or whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
well, I don't know what he does, but it's like.
But I think like you know, complex movements or whatever, and like crazy high reps and weird times and everything. Right. I also excuse me. I do think like there's definitely people who know what they're doing who do CrossFit who aren't getting hurt.
Yeah.
But I think the baseline for CrossFit, from what I've seen, is some pretty terrible looking deadlifts, like across the board. Like they're doing Olympic lifts, but they're like, all right, cool, clean and press. It was my first day. Like, sick. All right, now throw 300 pounds.
Are you shitting on
your head.
CrossFit right now? Is that what's happening? Are you saying that you've never seen a CrossFitter do a good deadlift? Is that what I'm hearing you say right now?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
but
good.
I'm saying that what I have seen is a lot of norms where there is an emphasis placed on technique or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm not saying any of that. But the thread that I've seen, for the most part, is that people tend to be quite careless, I guess, when it comes to technique, because, I mean, to do Olympic lifts really well takes so much attention.
Oh, absolutely. And this is where, at least in the CrossFit community, it does vary by gym. So I've only been part of 3 CrossFit gyms, 2 in Mount Juliet, 2 separate ones, and then CrossFit Forte, where I'm at now in downtown Nashville. And I got lucky because all 3 of those gyms, they cared a lot about form.
Yeah.
And being very precise and really having your form dialed in, because, that's actually an interesting thing with Olympic weightlifting is, strength matters, but it's like jiu-jitsu. Like, the form matters a lot. Form and mobility matter a ton.
Yeah, because that's the foundation that you're building anything on. You want to do a 400-pound deadlift, but if you can't do 95 pounds correctly, by the time you start to get that weight up there, you're going to blow your back out.
Absolutely. So I'm pretty sure there are gyms that exist, CrossFit gyms that exist, where form is not paid attention to nearly enough, and maybe it's kind of bro-ish or whatever. But I've just not had any experience with that. And I don't think that's super common. I'm sure it exists, but I think it's becoming less and less common as it develops.
I'll say this much. To your point, there's probably a good chance, because when you start jiu-jitsu, you know nothing, and if they have you sparring kind of early on, you're just like trying to survive. So there's zero application of technique there. You go long enough sparring using no technique, you're gonna hurt yourself, or your body's gonna get really beat up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I might have been experiencing some of that.
You gotta tap, man. You're gonna come back in a while. You're gonna let your body heal.
I think
I'll do some classes with you. You gotta tap.
No, I would tap if I had to. I tapped. Griffin tapped me out one time. That does suck. But one time there was that Saturday class that Sean was teaching. You were there. Tito was.
Oh yeah,
they did promotions.
It was like a seminar in belt promotion. Yeah,
yes.
That was awesome.
So in that seminar, they taught this move where you grab their right cuff, left cuff, put your left leg in their right elbow.
Yeah, we were working on spider guard.
Push against it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what? Mm-hmm. And then pull them in, lock them down here with their right,
mm-hmm.
and then get your leg around their neck, and then grab your leg and pull it in. You know
Triangle.
The move I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Something about that was like, oh, this is interesting, because it's very sort of basic and straightforward. Because I'll say this, when they're teaching and showing the moves, dude, I got lost very quick. Like I need muscle memory, I learned what I can when he's showing me, but I went into that half the time being like, all right, now what do they say again? Like I needed that muscle memory.
Yeah.
And, but that one was pretty, I don't know. It just seemed like straightforward, common sense. I could wrap my head around it. I love that move as soon as I learned it. And so I started to try to use it on everyone that I possibly could.
Yeah, that's the way.
And,
this is the way.
One day there was this dude in there. He was like in his 50s. Great dude. He had trained years ago, but not a ton. And so we were sparring. We were like able to do that move. And I was like able to successfully do that move on him. And he was like taller than me and probably 50 pounds heavier than me. But he was a real chill dude and very friendly, and he understood the movements way better than I did, because like when we were learning what we were supposed to be learning, he was talking me through it and everything. But that one particular time, I was able to like get him in that move and tap him out with that move.
Yeah.
And I came home feeling like freaking Gordon Ryan, bro. I was like walking with a swagger. It was a Friday. I remember it. Marianne was in the kitchen. I'm like walking through,
Thank God just feel like vasectomy, girl.
Oh yeah. 100%, dude. Dude, when you tap someone out, man,
it's satisfying. I mean, that's a drug for sure.
That is satisfying and very addicting.
Okay, not to sound like a crazy person, but one of my favorite things is, are you familiar with the back, being on someone's back?
Mm-hmm.
So you get seatbelt and you can feed it into, basically start to fight the collarbone and the shoulder, and then you can sink in what's called a rear naked strangle or rear naked choke.
Okay.
So your elbow is under their chin, and basically either side of your arm is situated around either artery, like both arteries. And so it's a blood choke, or you're stopping the supply of blood to the brain. So you pass out, you go to sleep. And unless you let go, someone, will die, but someone falls asleep. Typically you let it go so they can live, right?
Yep.
So, but we don't get there because we tap, but essentially, you get your arm across, and then you hide your hand behind their head. So you slide your hand here. And then the idea is you're going to slide your, in this case, my right hand into my left bicep. And then the pressure that you use to finish the strangle, you're squeezing your elbows in and you're kind of collapsing your body like an anaconda would around some prey. And when that choke is properly set in, you will hear people gurgle. And it is one of my favorite things. Oh. I know it's a bit much, but yeah, like low key.
You mean just when they're trying to breathe, they're gurgling?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like if someone's fighting it, like it doesn't happen if someone isn't like stubborn. Because what happens is you set it in fast and someone knows it's happening, they just tap. It's like, dude, it's too deep.
You're not coming
too tight.
Out of that.
I'm caught. I tap. I let go. Get over yourself.
Okay.
But sometimes someone's a dummy and they think they're going to hang out and they're not going to let go. And so I don't.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, you can just, it's
can
just
hear
like
it.
At some point your ego has to break or you will fall asleep. And I would never hold on to a choke if someone fell asleep. Just literally never.
Oh, certainly, yes. But you would hold on to it until they fell asleep if they wouldn't tap, right?
Correct.
Sure. Why not? That's the game.
Yeah, exactly. You signed the waiver. You know the rules. Like we're here. And I mean, I've never had to put anyone to sleep using that, which is great. But yeah, there's before the snoring, there's gurgling typically.
What does it sound like? Just like someone, like a guttural.
Yeah, and it depends kind of where their jaw is or if their head's turned. Sometimes when their head's turned, it sounds worse because the trachea is also getting pressure.
Now, I think that's a different move, but isn't Hodger Gracie known for a move very similar to that he's known for? He tries to do it on everyone. You know what I'm talking about or no?
It
had to do with the choke, hand in there.
Well, Rickson Gracie
watching a YouTube
famously has a documentary called Choke. And his whole thing was just like, they call it just choke. It's a cross collar choke. So if you have your lapels here, you're going one arm here, the other arm comes across, and you're just grabbing both sides and you're pulling your elbows in. You can do it from mount, do it from the guard. You can do it from anywhere. I mean,
I think that was the one.
It's probably the one. Yeah, it's so versatile. Like, dude, in the winter, some dude's fooling around, he's got a jacket on. Goodbye. Bad day. Yeah.
If you're out in the wild, you mean?
Oh yeah, you could do it with a t-shirt too, but the odds that your collar continues to tear are pretty high. So it's not like a high percentage choke or strangle for in the wild, unless it was winter and they had a coat on.
Okay. You don't strike me as the type of guy that would wear a tie more than you really need to, but if occasion called for a tie, would you think about the self-defense ramifications of having a string around your neck? Do you ever think about that?
I think someone asked me that one time or whatever. Some dork is like, what if you're wearing a tie? But nah, I don't think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, not worried.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's to really yank on a tie, I guess you have to pull it this way, but the knots you'd have to get far on the tie to hold both ends of the tie, right? And then you can always just stick two fingers in there and kind of, kind of.
And what is the chances really?
Dude, I feel like if you're there, you and John Wick need to be friends, bro, because you guys are in some situations.
And also the places you would usually wear a tie to tend to be more safe.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, how do you think that people can? Okay, so there's a benefit to that hand-to-hand physical combat, if you will. but combat, even that aside, there's just that physical interaction with other dudes.
Yeah.
That you get with jiu-jitsu, and there's a benefit to that. But unless someone wants to do jiu-jitsu, I wonder how they could get that benefit in real life.
I mean, the physical contact may not be as necessary, but I just think community in general for men is really important. Like, I think one of the things that's definitely like kind of changed my life for the better, like that we do at our church, is like walking in the light, essentially being really open and honest, and it's safe. Like, you can't repeat it or you're fucked. And I think that's definitely changed the way I look at a lot of things. And I think like when that, people try to do their best to get to that thing. I think humans are wired to
get
look,
to that honest community,
to look for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so there's people who find it bowling or playing darts or going to a bar, or book clubs or whatever. It's you're in this close, regular community with this group of people, and there may not be, that element of contact per se, but I think that that regular seeing, those people every single week, maybe even multiple times a week or whatever, because CrossFit is not a contact sport by any means whatsoever. But like my friends who I know who do CrossFit, they're like, oh yeah, my homie from they've always got friends from, because you guys are together.
Absolutely. There is absolutely that. But I did notice with jiu-jitsu that there still is that extra little benefit of having that physical contact. That is one of the things that stood out to me, is like, wow, I don't get this anywhere else in life.
Right.
And I think there is something about that. I mean,
I've literally never thought about it, but dude, honestly, yeah, definitely.
I think there's something there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's not culturally normative anymore for dudes to be that physical with each other. I don't even mean in a combative way. I mean in like a brotherly way. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like hugging, touching, like physical affection, even, or just.
Sure. I guess you could include that, but I'm thinking back to like the 80s or 90s where, the family got together. Next thing you know, a couple uncles are freaking wrestling. Like think about that for a second. You know how strange that would be to see that now? Like it's not. But it happened back then.
So hostile.
And I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the people who lived on this continent 500 years ago, like they were more physical with each other. So maybe it's like culture has shifted and we're not anymore, and that's totally fine. Maybe that's the case, or maybe we're missing something. I don't know. But I don't know how to make up for it aside from something like jiu-jitsu. That's what I'm getting at. Oh,
true. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like, if I think about like when we were kids, like you're so bored and you have nothing to do. Like, I don't know, you guys want to like beat each other up?
Oh, dude, my boys don't leave their hands off each other.
Yeah, yeah.
All the time, they're always.
That's great.
Always.
Yeah, it's great.
Always nagging someone, bumping into something. I remember
annoying.
doing it too when I was a kid. It is annoying.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
It absolutely is annoying.
But it makes sense, right? Because they're so
sense.
close to contact. They're so young. If we're doing the best we can, they're depraved of, as many distractions as we can try to, like you're not staring at an iPad all day. Mm-hmm. But so what else are you going to do?
Right.
I'm not going to watch TV. Dad won't let me do it. So
yeah.
I guess it's time to
But I think there's
beat
something
up my brother.
Yes, but I also think there's a design in it though too, because if you look at nature, like the young bucks or whatever, they start to butt heads
cubs,
and
dogs, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, that's an interesting like perspective. I would have never thought so far as to go there. Maybe to your question then, it's like because there's the physical contact involved, like people who do combat sports are like tapped into something different. It still can exist in society and culture. It does.
Yeah.
But it's not it's normal, but it's not like driving a car normal.
Yes. Do you compete often?
No, dude, fun fact. So I did martial arts when I was a kid, and they forced us to compete. Okay. So I hated competing. It made me so nervous, gave me the worst anxiety, like the whole nine. So I have never done a jiu-jitsu tournament. And I've been thinking about this.
Never done a jiu-jitsu tournament.
It's not for me, man. Not for me.
Not ever.
No. But here's the thing, though. Here wherein lies the rub. So, so my kids are my oldest son is doing jiu-jitsu. My
How old is he?
He's 8. My daughter is 5. When she turns 6, she has to start. And then my youngest son, he's 3, and he wants to do it. So when he turns 5, he'll be old enough to do it. We'll put him in. My daughter is mad about having to wear white. That's the reason she doesn't want to do it. So we're going to give her some time to get it.
Well, I have a blue gi for her.
But it's not uniform.
Black belt gave me.
Oh. Yeah. I wonder who that dork is.
Yes, I'll give it back to you.
I don't want it. It's yours. You need it. You'll need it later. But
it fit me really well, by the way.
Dude, enjoy.
Perfectly.
I love that.
Fit me perfectly.
That's awesome, man. But like, wait, what were we talking about?
Competing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Kids.
So my oldest, I have a feeling he's going to lock into it. The chess kind of nature of it, he is going to really click with his brain, and I'm hoping it does. Mm-hmm. If it does, he will likely compete, and I will compete then too.
Oh, really?
I don't feel it's fair to ask my son to do something as intense as that and not having had an experience in it personally.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm familiar with a decent amount of the rules. I try to pay attention to them. The class that I go to is the competition class. Like, I'm sparring with high-level jiu-jitsu guys. I don't find, like, much joy in, like, just doing, like, fundamentals, super important. Drilling, super down. Don't have a problem with it. But, like, if I had to go to a class that was, like, intermediate level practitioners, it would bore me. I have to be with the guys who are trying to do it like ADCC.
Okay,
like some of these guys are ADCC training for, like, they're getting ready to do the Olympics of jiu-jitsu. Yep. Those are my training partners.
Well, what if, I'm sure you've thought about this, but what if when you start competing for the sake of your son, you start to hate the sport?
I haven't considered that. I've lost thousands of times at this point. So what's another one?
Yeah, but I'm thinking of the process, because I would be the same way. I would be nervous about it. It would be on my mind leading up to that Saturday or whatever. I would, it would take up an inordinate amount of my mental energy. And
it's a good question.
I committed to, there's some things, I have not a herniated disc, what appears to be a bulge disc. It's where, like, the cushion in between your spine wants to pop out.
Yeah.
And it happened probably 5 times over 2020 and 2021. It was becoming a real problem. So I every time it would happen, I would learn new things that I can't do. Ugh. Like, I don't ever in my life plan to do a front squat PR or a back squat PR or most certainly not a deadlift PR. Pretty much I don't even do deadlifts anymore. And one of the rules I set for myself is I'm not going to compete.
Yeah.
Because CrossFit has these local competitions.
Yeah.
Those sound like a lot of fun, bro. To go be a part of, but it's like a line I'm not going to cross. Yeah. Because I'm going to get injured. And also I'm going to try to win it. Yeah. And then it's gonna take away because what I'm trying to do with CrossFit is feel good, look okay, and have it set my mental energy space where it needs to be. Like, I do it as much for my mind as my body, honestly.
Right.
And so it's like a lifestyle for me, and I don't want to tamper with it.
Yeah, I respect that.
If I would try to go do competitions, I feel like it would tamper with it. So I'm just not going to do that. But it sounds like for you, you're not worried about introducing competitions every so often.
I mean, okay, so to be fair, I feel very similar to you. And, like, at one point I really started thinking about competing because some of my friends in South Florida have been competing a lot and doing really well. And I'm like, man, it would be so fun to run into them at something, right? The problem is, like, when I really come face to face with it, I don't want to lose. Right. So I am going to train 2-a-days. The nutrition's going to get insane. And I feel like there's the cost and the time involved with just nutrition alone.
Yes.
Like, to go really hard on the paint for, like, training for competition is going to be ridiculous. And then, yeah, man, like, I feel like, you're just always thinking about that. Always studying, always drilling. And I'm going to be more annoying because I always be talking about it at home. No one wants to be around me talking about it all the time, you know? Like, and then we try to be choking my kids and be like, Dad, stop, leave me alone. No, but look at this detail. No, everybody hates it, right? And then on top of it, it's just like, it's going to consume me.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if I'm ready for that right now.
Well, then why would you do it? That's my point. To
set an example for my son.
Do you think your son needs that? Like
if he needs it, I would do it.
Okay.
If he doesn't, yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
But if it's one of those things where he's like let's say he does a tournament, and I see it almost ruins the sport for him.
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, hey, listen, let's do a tournament together.
Okay.
You and me will sign up for the next, IBJJF, Nashville Open, whatever. We'll sign up for it together. We'll go the same days. I mean, and I imagine Pax will be closer to a teenager if I'm reasoning with him like this, but maybe sooner. I mean, I don't know. And it's like, we'll train together, we'll go the same days, and we'll start to get ready for this. We can start to eat the same things. Like, I would make it a team thing, just to like bolster his confidence and see him succeed. You know, because I believe that's important too, working really hard for something and finally getting it.
Yeah, no doubt. But I think that also he would understand if you explain to him the reasons you do jiu-jitsu and what you're looking to get out of it and the things that you're not looking to experience in it. And for all of these reasons, you don't do competitions, but, he's just approaching the sport a little bit differently, and he is going to do competitions. Like, I also feel like he would understand that. Don't you think? If you talk to him through that?
Time will tell.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think like our kids are humans and they can be very reasonable and very unreasonable. So it just kind of depends.
Yeah. Well, Pete Carroll did his first competition 3 months ago or something.
Yeah. Didn't he won the thing.
He won the thing. It was his first ever.
Awesome. Yeah.
He went in as like a couple stripe white belt, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
I don't even think he was training at a gym at the time. The man is crazy.
Really? I thought he's at Nashville MMA.
I think he left. I'm not sure.
Surely he'd be training at a gym, right? Why would he compete if he's not training actively?
Dude,
that doesn't make any sense.
Pete Carroll's a wild man.
Really? But no one would do that, though.
I don't know. Why not?
Well, I mean, maybe if you quit like
2 stripes on your white belt.
I'm done. I'm not going to train anymore. No, I thought he was still at Nashville MMA because he was, you were talking to him about,
I'm trying to get him to leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I can't keep up. I honestly haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him. Yeah,
church is getting too big, man.
Yeah.
It's like a good problem.
I don't think it's changing that quickly.
Man, I'd be missing people though, bro.
Yeah, well, you got.
How long have you been at Emmanuel?
Church, dude. The end of 2016.
That's weird. So we've been there. So we moved to Nashville 2014. We church hopped so that means we started there in 2015.
Okay.
So we were definitely there when you started going there. But I feel like I never saw you till you started working there.
Yeah, it's weird how that is because I think a lot of people sit at the same spot every time. And
where do you guys normally sit?
We usually sit in the center right section at the back.
Center right section, the back.
So,
my man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Hide in plain sight.
Yeah.
What's funny is we sit in the very back on the left.
I know. I see. Yeah. Now that I know who you are, I see you. You're in basically the exact same seat every time. But it's big enough where
late too.
Where if you don't cross paths or
where
you don't cross paths with people, they sit at the same spot.
Yeah.
You could go there for a few years. I mean, it is big enough where you don't know everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what else about jiu-jitsu?
I don't know. You tell me, man. I told you I wasn't trying to proselytize.
Well, it's not, every day I get to talk, have an
Yeah.
unfettered conversation with a black belt. So
You can call me anytime.
I am actually very surprised you don't compete. That is very surprising to me. I didn't know, honestly, that was like a path.
I'm in a really weird lane in jiu-jitsu. I don't think it's like I'm a unicorn special or anything, but I just feel like I'm crazy enough to have stuck with it for a really long time or for a while. I never got pulled into competing. Like I kind of avoided that for a hot minute.
Yep.
But then also simultaneously, I'm not content with being bad at it, which is I'm still competitive enough to be competing with the guys who compete in my gym, but I also like when I went to this gym, the class that I wanted to take was at 9 a.m. So like there is no session that starts before 11:30 now. Like I literally completely rearranged my life.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like
I see.
I'm so far down that like
Yes.
Someone who's like a kind of casual hobbyist isn't completely upending their daily routine for the sake of a potential hobby.
Yep.
You know, but I'm also not trying to go to ADCC and win.
Yeah.
Beat Gordon Ryan. Like
Yep.
I have zero aspirate. I don't care about that.
What do you think about Gordon Ryan?
I think a lot of things.
What are those things? Here, I have more water for you.
Ooh, my man. Thank you. I'm gonna kill this.
He's a polarizing figure, right? Can be.
Yeah, I mean he's also like really young.
Is he 27 now?
I don't know, but I know he's in his 20s. Like and
I think he's 27.
yeah. I mean, he seems like a really nice guy. And he seems like a really smart businessman who realizes when he says foolish things, people go crazy and they promote him. Mm-hmm. He gets free promotion and he's building an empire, just talking shit, but he delivers.
He does deliver.
He's excruciatingly good. And here's the thing too, like when we're training and Sean is telling me what to do, I feel like an avatar in a video game. And I'm just straight up like, I have a superpower. I just do what he says, and I keep ending up in better positions and finishing things because I listen to Coach, and he's openly said the day John Danaher stops coaching, he's done competing.
Oh wow!
So like, he is amazing. He's absolutely amazing, and he also has unprecedented guidance. You know, so I think there's that. I truly believe it's a shame he conducts himself the way that he does. I'm no Daisy.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I mean,
on social media primarily. Is that what you're referring to, or do you mean
anytime someone like crosses him or disrespects him, as he would refer to, he lashes out, and I just think it's really childish. I mean, I don't know what your expectation of a 26 or 27-year-old man can be, in our day and age, and with unfettered access to the internet, which is like insanity.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, dude, he is a representative. He's a pioneer of the sport to many people who don't see it, especially because of the nature of his polarizing behavior and how it pulls people in. It's a shame that his mentality in that regards gets the attention that it does.
Sure. And it's definitely part of his thing, but I mean, he'll like screenshot DMs and make those public. I mean, he does that stuff all the time. I get that's part of like stoking the fires, or stirring the pot.
I mean, there's a lot of figures in the jiu-jitsu community that I think act like children, and they're wildly famous.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not really trying to get into all that. But
but do you think it's like an abnormally much for the sport?
No, I think it's on par for humanity.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like...
You don't think there's anything about jiu-jitsu or the sport or whatever that like has attracted the crazies?
No, man. I mean, or CrossFit or something, right?
Right.
Like I'm sure the stereotype is like everybody who does CrossFit is a meathead who can't speak 4 sentences straight, right? I mean, I know that's...
No, it's not.
I've shut up, man. It's not?
No.
It's not? I made that up?
No.
Sorry, CrossFit world. Please don't pummel me.
I will say, I do think at the competition level of CrossFit...
Yes.
Most of those people are Christians, dude. It's weird.
Okay, so what would you say then from your side? What do you feel like the stereotypes of CrossFit would be?
Sold out for it. Like what's the term? Like really bought into it, really focused on obsessed.
Radical?
Radically obsessed. Radically obsessed.
Together.
Radically obsessed. Yeah, that I would say.
But you don't strike me as that though, right? Are you outside of the stereotype, you think?
Well, I was thinking more about at competition level.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's two. First of all, I think CrossFit's a sport. People used to argue about this a couple years ago. There's no argument anymore. It's a sport.
Okay.
It has a season, shared language, clear rules. It's a sport, a culture around it. I think it's a great sport. It's fun to watch. There's the semifinals this weekend. You can watch them free on YouTube. And So at the competition level for CrossFit, I would say the thing I think most about these people is they are just radically obsessed. I mean, they train like 6 to 8 hours a day. It's absurd.
Yeah,
it's absurd.
Man, their recovery routines must be insane too, though, right?
Yeah, they have it. They have the sleep dialed in, the nutrition dialed in. I mean, you have to.
Oh, they wear those suits where the water courses through your body?
I don't know. I haven't seen those.
You haven't seen those?
No, to sleep in? Or to recover?
To recover.
Okay.
Like they have like those huge boots. That
they probably
cold water.
I don't know if they're using those or not. I haven't seen those. The other thing about competition level CrossFit is it doesn't pay jack crap.
Really?
Yeah. No. I mean, the winner of the whole season makes $300,000. Like, you know how much work you have to do to make $300,000, and then, Gordon Ryan can make
so money. In a match.
In a match, he can make $300,000, right? And even that's terrible money. It's terrible money because this is one of the things I think is great about what he's trying to do is bring more money into the sport, which I think is awesome.
I do think it's awesome.
And when you think about the money that UFC fighters can make, or even particularly in boxing, right?
Dude,
like
UFC fighters don't make nearly what they should either. Whole other conversation.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Right? But then some of those sports like boxing, they make so much money.
Buku bucks.
So
crazy.
So with CrossFit, what they all have to do is they have to grow their social media following. And so the top level CrossFit athletes are very active on social media, and it's great. I have no problem with it. They have to spend a lot of time on social media because they need a following to have sponsors to make any sort of real money. There's not a lot of wealthy CrossFit competitors, dude. I mean,
that's crazy.
Rich Froning's doing fine. Tia Claire Toomey's doing fine. Matt Fraser's doing fine. And, there's probably a handful of others that are doing fine. And then there's a whole bunch that are doing okay.
Yeah.
But there's not so big money in the sport. So they have to be so obsessed over it. When they're not training, they have to be promoting themselves through social media and et cetera to get sponsors. And it's tough. But I think the meathead stereotype.
Forgive me.
I think that is maybe more like.
Kent's mad at me.
No, I'm not. I think that's more like
I'm never coming back.
Traditional gym goers.
Bodybuilding.
Oh, like those dorks who go in and they look like they're doing CrossFit at the Y.
Yeah, that's not CrossFit.
It's like soccer moms right next to you, like trying to just lift 10 pounds.
Yes, I think it's
like,
yes, bodybuilding, which I don't want to crap on bodybuilders. I just don't understand it, like because sometimes I will like judge something and then I get into it and I'm like, oh, whoops, I was wrong on that.
Fair.
I do feel like bodybuilding might be an area where it seems a little weird to me. But if I got into it, maybe I would understand it.
More plates, more dates, bro.
Yeah. That's a popular YouTube channel, isn't it?
Yeah.
And/or podcast.
To your point, though, I don't know. I don't know any, so my dad was an Olympic lifter. And, he was.
Did he compete as an Olympic lifter?
He was Mr. Florida. Yeah.
Your dad was Mr. Florida?
Yeah, for his division or whatever. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm, kind of obsessed with. And a facet of fitness was definitely because of my dad. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, in high school, I know how to do tons of lifts. I know how to lift. I go to the gym and hang out with you for sure.
Oh, cool.
I can't do your weight probably, but I know how to.
You probably do my weight, but maybe you couldn't keep up with me on my cardio.
I would die. If I go to work out with you, I would die. You come train with me, you.
I would die. Yeah, I would literally die.
I can't hang with you, man. Yeah. There's no hidden fact, dude. You're ripped. I look like a flabby piece of crap.
It is funny. What I've noticed with some of these, because I've only just gotten into the UFC, by the way. So
what do you mean just got into it?
I mean, I've watched a few fights as far back as a couple years ago, but maybe only one or two. So I have not. Yeah, I've only started to follow UFC in the last 3 months.
Really?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Friend. Welcome.
Yeah, and I like it because it's a Saturday, which is nice.
At night.
And I've noticed I don't feel depressed after I watch UFC like I do when I watch football.
For real?
Yeah,
that's so funny.
For real. I think I'm done watching the NFL, which I love the NFL.
Right.
I love
the Super Bowl.
I think I'm not bored by it. So for me with the NFL, the season starts and it's like, oh, you haven't watched football in a while, and it's awesome. And then 50 to 70% of the way through the season, there's a little bit of a lull because it's almost like eating too much lobster or whatever. It's like, you've been watching too much football.
Yeah.
Then the playoffs start, and then that's also good again and whatever. But I love football, but it's just so much of it.
Yeah. Isn't it Sunday night football, Monday night football now, and then
Thursday night football, and Sunday it's literally from noon until 10:30 p.m.
That's crazy.
Nonstop football. But even if I watch one game, I mean, a game is 3 hours. It's so long. Yeah. Even if I watch a game on a Sunday afternoon, if the case for it was like if Lincoln and Jackson would watch it with me, and Jackson would watch it with me some, but then I just found myself being the only one sitting in front of the TV on a Sunday afternoon with the weather being kind of nice outside. I found myself there a lot. Yeah. And that feels weird to me. Yeah. It's Sunday afternoon. Yeah. Here I am sitting at the TV like a dumbass. Yeah. And my family's doing whatever each of them are doing. And I just, no, I feel, it's not uncommon for me to feel depressed after watching football.
Dude, that UFC, I don't get weird, that. Right? It's almost like you want to be doing this thing. You want to be around your family. And then it's like, well, my family's right there, but I really want to do this thing. I know. And then you're like, well, I got to do that thing, and now my family's going to sleep. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Dang
it. Yep.
Yeah, I
know.
And
there are like, I don't subscribe to the thing where once you have kids, you should have no life, and your kids should be your life. I think that's bull. Yeah. I don't buy into that.
I'm with you.
But yeah, but there was something about football that was feeling, I don't know, each to their own. But I'll say this, dude, a good NFL game is hard to beat. I mean, there's a magic
last
to
Super Bowl was really entertaining. That back and forth. But I mean, honestly, that's why basketball is a superior sport. The back and forth is just so insane, you know? Like, I mean, I don't follow any sports. So you're talking to the
outside
wrong guy.
the UFC?
Yeah. Okay. And honestly, I'm not that great at following that either. Okay. Like we watch the pay-per-views, like me and a couple buddies, Ostrander sometimes. Yep. We go to Buffalo Wild Wings. We'll watch the fights. It's a great time. We have so much fun. I absolutely love it. But like there are many cards where the openers or like the 2 or 3 fights in on the main card, I like won't recognize someone.
Yeah. Okay.
And I used to be super obsessed with back when like GSP was the champion, like watching his rise, like beating Matt Serra and all that, and then like coming up when Anderson Silva came on the scene and just started beating the absolute shit out of everybody. That whole era of the UFC, that was when I started training jiu-jitsu, and my gym would go to they had a standing like reservation at a sports bar near the gym, and we were every pay-per-view, Geronimo's, we're all going there.
Your jiu-jitsu gym?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's fun.
Yeah, we were like just there for every pay-per-view. So like I started watching it then.
When was that? Sorry.
I mean that was I'm really bad with the years, but
in Nashville?
No, South Florida.
Yeah, okay.
Before I moved here, so like we've been here for almost 9 years. Or wait, yeah,
2014.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we moved here in 2014 also, March.
Nice. Oh.
What brought you to Nashville? Now we're getting off track.
That's fine. Music. Okay. I was assisting at a studio, like a privately owned studio for an artist at the time.
Okay. So, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
No, you start talking and then I'll interrupt you. That's what we do now.
Yeah.
No, so,
but where are you from?
Upstate New York.
Upstate New York. Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's. I like it. It's pretty up there, but
it's too hot over here, huh?
It's better down here. The weather's better. We like Nashville. Oh, cool. But anyhow, one of the things I noticed with starting to watch the UFC more.
Yes.
Is it's like they're not all ripped.
Oh no!
You know what I mean?
Heavyweights especially, they're fat
for sure, but that's like a given.
Yeah.
But even some of the others, they're not necessarily ripped. Like it's not uncommon to see like a killer. It's just a different body type, is what it seems to me. Like they're trained for different things. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like they're optimized. They are not optimized for their physique. They're optimized to go out and kill.
Let me put it this way. So you ever see like two people, like especially early on watching fights, you ever see a guy who's like super jacked, and then a dude who's like not as jacked, and you're like, all right, the jacked dude wins every time. I feel like the UFC completely turned that thinking on its head.
100%.
It's like the reality is the guy who's jacked needs to have probably 3 times the cardio capacity of the other guy, because muscle requires more oxygen to work. So more muscle mass requires more energy and air. Like you need to have a better gas tank because you're muscular. Like size comes at a cost in a combat sport. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
you know,
that's
like
interesting.
Being
I didn't know
strong, being lean. Yeah, all of those things are important. And size is a natural occurrence for sure. If you can, you know, have the holy grail, you have everything. You're huge and you have crazy cardio. I mean, that's an advantage. But like time and time again, you've seen guys that are really, really loaded up with muscle. Once, especially if in 5-round fights, woo! Even some of the best. By the time they get to that 5th round, you can see it. They're wearing it. You know, it's hard. It's hard that to carry, even just carrying that mass. It's not an easy thing. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting body type for sure.
Yeah.
Because it is definitely honed in for the needs of that sport.
Yep. But so I like the Saturday night thing.
Yeah,
I also
Saturday's
like the
great.
fact that there's not a quote unquote game or like a card, and I guess is what you would call it in that sport. But there's not like a game every weekend, you know?
Yeah.
It's like 1 or 2 a month.
There's definitely one every weekend.
Well,
For the most part. But not a pay-per-view.
Not a
In
pay-per-view.
your defense, there's only one a month.
yeah.
Every once in a while, too. You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, but
They have like fight nights and stuff.
they have fight nights
Yeah.
basically every single weekend,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
But those aren't like the highest
Yeah.
ranked
Dude,
fighters.
some of them
fighting,
get crazy.
correct?
I'll just say it this way. I feel like there's no teams, so it's a lot easier to keep track of stuff. If you, let's say I love John Jones. He's back in it now, right? At most, he'll fight 3 times in a year.
Yes.
You know, like, whereas if you like a football team, like how many games does a team play in the playoffs? Just the like regular season.
Yeah. Well, it's like 13 a year, I think.
Yeah, that's a lot.
No, in the regular season.
17.
17 in the regular season,
17
and then plus playoffs.
Yeah.
You sure, bro? I thought it was 13.
In a season?
Yeah.
17.
Is it? Okay.
Hell yeah, man. You got a microphone? Let's go.
Absolutely.
And every now and then.
Sick. Yeah, so it's like to your point, you know, there's so much less even capacity for commitment if you want to treat it that way.
Yes,
Some people
exactly.
get crazy and they know everything about everyone.
Exactly.
Not for me. Honestly, it's too much like what you like about it. It's not like super high committal. You don't have to watch a card every Saturday. You don't have to follow XYZ team or where they go.
Exactly.
You know, it can be what you want it to
Yep.
be.
And I like that about it. I also like the to me it feels like one of the last frontiers for like totally free speech. Not like in general, but in sports. Like these dudes are grabbing the microphone and saying whatever the crap they want to say.
Some wonky shit, bro.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're grabbing it and saying there might be a shout out, it might be like a challenge.
Yeah, something encouraging.
Or it might be
like,
something political.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they just say whatever's on their mind. And when you think about, like we were talking about the confidence of being decent at jiu-jitsu or
Right.
certainly being a black belt. I mean, wouldn't you agree? Like, do you think their confidence maybe even another level when your job is to be able to kill someone?
yeah.
Just take them out, and you're one of the best at that. I have to think you're a pretty freaking confident human being.
Yeah, I mean, I would counter that with it's probably next to impossible to not have like an insane ego at the highest levels of the sport because it's like, I mean, no, you truly can beat the shit out of pretty much everybody in this room.
Yeah,
Nobody's
exactly.
gonna think twice about it. You know, like you have to be that good.
Yep.
That and when you get that good, you have to know that no one can beat you. Not like
Yes.
think or believe. It's like no. You don't understand.
Yep.
I can beat everyone in here. Because if you don't think that way, the consequences they're great.
Yes.
You know, like you go to sleep on pay-per-view in front of 10 million people,
Yes.
like or whatever, you know, some berserk number. But
Yep.
it's like the cost is high.
And then I also notice a lot of cool dudes seem to be into it.
Yeah,
You know, they seem to like be
a lot of
you know,
dorks too. But
Yep, I'm sure.
Guys
But
are
also a lot of
drinking.
cool dudes, you know?
yeah.
like
Have you? So are you starting to find like what you say? Cool dudes, like expand personally. On
well,
what
like,
that looks
you know,
for
comedian in Nashville, Theo Vaughn,
Okay,
you know,
yeah.
he's obviously big into the UFC. Cameron Haynes, bow hunter, you
Yeah.
know, big into the UFC. Like just some of those, I guess those are more like semi-celebrity types,
right?
but
Yeah.
you're into it. Ostrander's into it, you know,
Yeah.
like there's they don't. The people that are into UFC, to me, don't seem to be the type of people that you have to tiptoe around.
Huh. I've never thought about it
and
that way.
that's
But
becoming increasingly rare.
Yeah, depending on where you're at,
Don't you
there's
think?
a whole lot of filtering.
In life, there's a lot of filtering. There's
Depends
a lot
where
of
it depends. You got to read the room always.
pandering.
You know, you got to always read the room though.
Yes,
But
for
Light
sure.
didn't read the room.
I'm not saying go in and be like, a total jerk.
Right.
But yeah, they seem to be like harder to offend.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know that I've thought about it that way. I'll say this much: I gave up on like trying to get my friends into anything that I really care about. Like, I used to be so obsessed with jiu-jitsu, tell everybody, oh, you have to train, and just like eventually no one does it, or they do and they quit, or they do and maybe they get hurt or something, and you're just like, all right, yeah, enough of this. Like, this is my thing. I'll let it be my thing. I almost feel the same way about the UFC. It's like a lot of people don't like the combat, or it's too violent, or it's too, once in a while when it gets graphic, it can get, the forehead bleeds a lot. It can get insane, and I'm not in control.
Blood all
of that.
over the cage sometimes.
Yeah, dude, totally. Yeah, there's all over their face or whatever. Like when someone's nose breaks and they blow their nose. Have you seen that happen?
I haven't.
The eye swells. Have you seen that?
I've seen an eye swell pretty good.
Yeah. No, if you break your nose and you blow your
that
nose, all the blood that's supposed to come out of your nose from the pressure from the air comes back in your face and it makes your eyes swell.
Oh, I don't like that.
Shut. Like
I don't like that.
Kind of insane. I know it's insane.
I don't like broken legs or anything like that. I don't like to see that at all. Broken
Okay.
fingers, none of that.
Oh,
No, I look the other way. Like people, if they play like a replay, even like in a football game where someone had a break or something, I don't.
Yeah, just look away. Yeah,
I just
Well, there
gotta
you go.
look
If you
away.
have a
I'm
look
like
away, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
You're covered. But yeah, there's plenty of crazy.
In the
shit.
moment, I'm not looking away in the moment. But like if I see like.
They're going to show it 10 times when Johnny broke his wrist.
Wasn't there a kick a couple years ago where
there's so many.
what is the bottom half of your shin from your knee down? What's that bone called? Your shin bone.
Shin bone.
Is it just the shin bone?
No, there's like tibia, fibia.
Tibia. Your femur is the
which.
top.
Femur's the big
Femur
guy
goes-
in your thigh,
yeah.
right? And then you have your tibia and your fibia. Or the
Below
two,
the knee, right?
right? I believe so.
Well, this was a.
Oof, we got Google machine.
I remember some of the dudes from work were watching, and they were talking about it.
Yeah.
And this dude came around and kicked, and his
Leg snapped in half.
It's exactly what happened.
Yeah, Anderson Silva. That happened fighting Chris Weidman.
Maybe that's who
it also happened to Conor McGregor.
Yeah, that did happen.
It also happened to Freddie, not Eddie Alvarez. It's Freddie something.
I think it was Conor McGregor.
Yeah, it happened to Conor, definitely. And it also happened to someone else recently too. But yeah, and the craziest is, so Anderson Silva snapped his leg kicking Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman was off for a break, and when he came back from a break, literally fight starts, Chris Weidman throws a kick, and the exact same break happens to Chris, which is insane. Like the serendipity of that is evil.
His first fight after he breaking someone's leg that way, or no?
No. It was years later.
Okay.
But then, career, maybe takes a break. I don't really know. Don't follow. Bad fan.
Wow.
And so he was coming back. So, oh, cool. Chris Weidman's returning. He looks great. He's, like the athletic prime is like in your 30s now. They're kind of seeing like, and so he's got that like fight IQ and, maybe some ring rust. We'll see. Right. And he goes. They square up, punch gloves. They come out of the corners. Throws the kick and his leg snaps.
His first kick?
First kick.
Oh, that's so nasty. That's so gnarly.
The dude he was fighting, I'm spacing on his name, which I feel bad about, but he just checked the kick.
Hall?
Yeah, Uriah Hall. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Woo!
What would you hit? In the case of Conor McGregor, what did he hit on the opponent to
Shin
break?
or knee. There's at the top of your shin, there's like a little bone under your knee.
Yeah.
If you hit that thing, just right place at the wrong time, dude.
If that thing's not going to break, you're saying. So if the
it's
kicker,
harder, it can be harder than your shin. It all depends.
I
It's
see.
like it's literally the perfect storm.
Okay.
And I could even be speaking out of turn, but I know like your shin wears down, it gets beat up over time, like especially if you're checking kicks, like you develop welts in your bones, they tend to get harder, but dude,
I see.
right place at the wrong time.
What
dude.
is it about the jaw that just puts someone
Oh yeah.
to sleep.
So they're under your jaw. They refer to it as the button. Have you heard that yet?
No.
Someone getting hit in the button. I think that comes from boxing, to be honest. But I've definitely heard it a ton in MMA. But so if you like behind so you have your earlobe. If you have you ever stuck your finger in there? It hurts, right? That's a pressure point there. You press it really hard, and it feels really shitty. So what happens is if you hit someone in the jaw correctly, like remember everything's connected by cartilage, so there's flex in every part of our body, in every joint. So the jaw itself, the whole jaw can essentially unhinge into that nerve, and your body shuts down. If it happens hard enough, you go to sleep. So that's what they say, the button. So basically, you're getting hit so hard. A lot of times too, the button happens like laterally from side to side.
Yes.
So you get hit on the left side, and your jaw basically shoves itself to the right. So the right side of your jaw is what's going into the button.
Hits the button, and that's what sends them to sleep.
Your body says survival.
Okay. So any hit on the jaw, any point on the jaw, it's affecting that button there.
It can.
It can. But okay, so there's nothing really out here on the jaw that sends you to sleep. It's the effect back to that button.
The consequence of your jaw moving into that nerve. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is really interesting.
Because there'll be fights sometime where it's like the dude is losing, or the way it looks, and then the guy who looks like he's been losing this entire time, one hit, just right, and it's over, and he wins.
Absolutely. Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman. So Leon Edwards, I believe, is the welterweight champion in the UFC. I could be wrong. But Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards, the first time they fought, it might have been the second time technically. Anyways, Kamaru was the champion. Leon was the challenger. Kamaru won 4 rounds. He lost round 1, I think, because Leon got on his back and was basically attacking and controlling for a really long time. Round ends 2, 3, and 4. Kamaru just starts outsmarting him like big time. Round 5 starts, more of the same, honestly. Just like, all right, dude, Kamaru won this fight. Just has to finish it. Boom, gone.
Oh,
basically, he dips to his left and he drops his hand. And apparently Leon had been drilling that exact scenario, like waiting for it. And it happened. And Leon just throws a kick right. And I mean, Kamaru's hand was under because he was dipping down, maybe to throw over or an under. I don't know. And as he dips, Leon catches him in the mouth and
with a kick, with a kick or with a punch? With a kick,
kicks him
okay
in the jaw. Wow. And Kamaru does one of those where you like fold over and then fall backwards. You fall flat.
Oh, geez.
He was talking to the Lord, bro. He was in another dimension, bro. Just gone. There's like, it's kind of evil, but if you look it up, there's a lot of funny memes of like people like Joe Rogan trying to interview him while he's asleep, or like him in space and stuff. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Wow. There's some funny memes out there.
Joe is obsessed over the UFC, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in it. I mean, it's one of his
commentator. Yeah.
He's one of his money making apparatuses. He's been around it for a long time. But I heard him say one time on his podcast that now he has the episodes with UFC fighters. He's calling them fight companions.
Yeah.
But, he likes to, he can do this. He has whoever he wants on to talk about whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And he was having like so many UFC fighters on that some of his listeners were like, man, this is a little much. So he's like, all right, we'll just call this episode, now when he has UFC fighter on,
the
fight
MMA.
companion.
Well, fight companions when they watch fights, right?
Oh, you're right.
And then the MMA.
That is exactly right.
It's like JRE MMA number and then whatever.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Fight companions when they watch fights talking about it, which I've never watched any of those episodes because I don't understand how that works. Are you just listening to them?
When you start in the
about
beginning, at some point they tell you where they are in the fight. They'll sync it up. All right, we're at 1. Okay, this is fight number 1. Here we go. 5, 40, 59, 58, 57, 456, 455, and they stop counting and they just start shooting the shit. So you can kind of cue it up and make sure you're in sync with the episode or whatever.
Oh, so you would be watching it on TV at your house and listening
while listening to it.
Oh.
It's kind of a fun idea.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know that's how it's supposed to work.
I've never participated. Like, I've listened to plenty of them. My favorite thing to do with those episodes is to listen to them after I've watched it.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't, because a lot of times if I listen to a podcast, it's when I'm driving.
Right.
And so that way I don't have to like watch anything.
Yep.
I just listen while I drive. But then I know what they're talking about because I watched the fight, which is a kind of a fun way.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's like also a lot of comedians are into the UFC for some reason. I wonder why that is too.
Everybody loves fighting, bro.
Yeah, could be.
Dude.
Could be.
Coliseum, man.
Yeah, you're right.
Let me ask you. So you've been watching for 3 months, you said?
Mm-hmm. Couple months.
Do you have any like fighters or even weight divisions that you think you like more than others, or?
Well, no, I don't know enough to know yet. But what was the main card on the last fight? Was it featherweight division? I think it was a lighter or bantamweight.
It was bantamweight and featherweight. Yeah, bantamweight's lighter than feather, but I forget.
It was a pretty light, and I was thinking, well, okay, I don't know. There's something about the heavier, not the heavyweights necessarily, because that is almost like, I totally respect it, but it also seems a little bit more like a spectacle, a little bit like.
Well, if it goes past the first round, good God, they're tired.
Exactly. Yes. So not there, but like the like Israel Adesanya. What weight class is he?
I mean, I think he's got to be either middleweight or welterweight. I get him.
Yeah, like that weight class to me feels like the big leagues.
Yeah,
and then the lighter ones. When I saw the main fight was going to be the lighter weight division, I was like, I don't know. In some way, maybe it almost felt like a bit of a throwaway or whatever.
Sure.
But as it turns out, when they're lighter like that, oh my goodness, dude.
It's exciting, right?
It is exciting.
It's insane.
It is exciting because they really put on a show. Like it is. So no, I don't have a favorite weight class really. I don't even know enough to know about favorite fighters. Nate Diaz doesn't fight anymore, does he? Or hasn't in a while.
He hasn't in a while. I feel like he comes out of retirement for crazy paydays. It seems like.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But he seems like he has a pretty strong fan base.
Oh, his fan base is huge. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
and why is that? Do you think is he just a cool dude or?
So Nate has a brother named Nick. Nick is older than him. Nick was like around in the GSP days, and so was Nate. But Nick got really famous, and I don't think he could handle it very well, like dealing with the obligations and like kind of the social. I think I feel like he's probably just a really, really, really intense introvert.
Nick.
Okay. Yeah. And Nate is probably a little bit of that, but also like, I guess is just own person and doesn't really ascribe to being an introvert as much. I don't know. But they're both super hard dudes, and they're really funny. But for whatever reason, Nate just kind of started taking off. I mean, Nick's effectively stopped fighting. I mean, he was supposed to fight GSP for the belt and didn't show up to the press conference. Crazy shit like that. Yeah, like Nick pushed Dana White's patience probably more than any fighter I've ever seen in the 10 years I've been following the sport or whatever.
Yeah.
Looks like Nate's fighting Jake Paul next.
There you go. Are you
Nate
serious?
Is fighting Jake Paul?
Paul.
Jake Paul?
Yeah.
Jake Paul is an old friend.
Jake Paul.
It was announced on Wednesday, April 12th. Is that of this year?
Gosh.
2023.
That Paul and Diaz will fight August 5th in Dallas, Texas. Oh, my gosh.
That's going to be insanity.
Oh, Diaz himself confirmed the news in a post to Twitter. What do we know about Jake Paul?
He got beat his last fight, didn't he?
Oh, I can't.
He's just boxing.
I know it's like a barn fire, like the Jake Paul thing, because he just says so much crazy shit. But
is he a boxer?
No, I think Jake Paul. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't he some YouTube guy or something?
Yeah, is that the
social
guy?
Media guy. Yeah, but he's become a boxer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's like.
Okay, but first before he became a boxer, wasn't he a UFC fighter?
No, never. No. If that boy steps in the UFC ring, they're gonna roll him out in an ambulance, man. He does boxing only. The day you kick that dude in the legs, he's got problems. Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, no. I have seen him. He's starting to train more, so we'll see. But
I'm sure he's going to train his butt off. I mean,
he's gonna go
against Diaz, right?
I mean, definitely. I mean, Diaz has some. Them boys got some crazy boxing. But I will say, Jake Paul seems to get it. That's his name, right? Jake Paul.
Yeah. Yep.
It's there on the screen. I can just read it. What's wrong with me? Wow. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, he's knocked out Tyrone Woodley. I think at least once or twice.
Okay.
Like,
can you Google the origin of Jake Paul just a little bit, Kobe? Because
definitely sounds like a villain. The origin.
Yeah. Well, there was one.
His brother's got a podcast too.
Yeah, I'm thinking these are the dudes I'm thinking of that they got popular on social media.
He was on Disney, I think.
And I could have sworn they went into the UFC, but no.
No.
Okay.
No.
Was there a famous social media or YouTuber that went into the UFC or no?
I don't know.
Okay,
man.
I'm thinking
question.
about this guy.
Boxing, yeah. He's fought UFC guys like Ben
Askren.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was painful.
That's
Dude,
so he's
that's who
fought
you're
in the
talking about,
UFC before.
No,
boxing.
that's not the UFC, man.
Oh.
He does
makes them
boxing
do
matches
boxing.
with them.
Yeah.
So a UFC fighter had a boxing match
like
with
Ben
Jake Paul.
Askren, Tyron Woodley. Maybe there's another one. I don't know, but they have, and it's boxing only. Like the rules are strict, like just boxing. They're wearing boxing gloves, like is it 16 ounce or whatever? The big fat gloves. Mm-hmm. They're wearing them crazy ass shoes and everything.
Yes.
They go like super high. Yeah.
Tommy Alvarez. Is that?
Oh,
Jake Paul get beat by Tommy.
I kind of want to watch that.
Yeah.
That was
Watch
the
him get
one.
beat up.
Can we see that highlight?
Highlights. 6 minutes. 6 minutes of this poor boy getting mauled. I don't know. Can't guarantee what's going to happen after this Verbo ad either. Oh, this looks ghetto.
Here,
Tommy Fury.
Fast forward this a little bit.
Tommy Fury. Oh.
Okay. So this is just straight boxing.
Is Tommy? I feel like Tommy Fury is probably the closest to like a proper boxer.
Yeah,
He's fought recently too, right?
Is that his brother?
No, I don't
That's
think
probably
that
just some dude in the audience.
Well, he doesn't look like he's getting beat up at all.
Here we go. I think.
Yeah, go to the part where he looks like he's getting murked, man.
This fight must have been.
Was that it? Okay. So they call it after all
all right.
rounds. So he didn't get knocked out, maybe.
Yeah, that looks extremely unexciting.
Yeah, it really does. Do you think boxing is worse for your brain than UFC?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
100%. I
Okay.
mean, listen, like UFC has some brutal shit that happens. You're fighting, let's face it. But like at the end of the day, like with boxing, it's you go down, so you literally passed out for a blink second, and your body's like fight or flight, so then it recovers, and then you get back up to your feet.
Oh, jeez.
And they let you get hit in the head again.
Oh.
I mean, the CTE in boxing has got to be off the charts. And now I feel like they're finding that can happen in UFC fighters as well.
Yeah.
And like there's still like you still are like when you go out, it's the consequence of a concussion essentially.
Yeah.
Especially when it's from contact, like getting kicked in, or the button or whatever.
Yep.
And sometimes it's not even that; it's the impact from when you hit the ground.
Okay.
There's the repercussion there. Like
Sure.
your body's in fight or flight while you're standing, and then your head smacks against the canvas.
Yep.
That's like a secondary trauma post the initial one that put you out, which is it's dangerous.
Yeah.
But boxing, you do it over and over and over.
Yeah.
They just keep letting you stand up. It's like, dude, trying to forget math? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's other ways to go out in the UFC too. Like you could get tapped out.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Or you could get put to sleep, or those types. Not just straight up getting hit in the head.
But here's the thing: like getting strangled unconscious is not going to mess with your brain chemistry. Like as you fall asleep, you let go, the fight is clearly over.
Yep.
They wait for you to wake up. They help you wake up. You're back.
Yeah.
And it's done. And the UFC has, I mean, it's probably very hard for fighters to deal with this, but it's very good for them. They have a really strict, like no training, no nothing after you get knocked out. I think it's like a 3-month time period where you're not allowed to even train, which is probably really hard for them, especially because their stupid ass rule is if you lose, you only get half your money. Like if we make a deal and I get $50,000 to win, 100K, I mean, $50,000 to win would be $25K to lose.
Okay.
So if we go in this fight, I get knocked out, so I get half my money, and now I can't even prepare to make money for 3 months. Similar to your CrossFit guys, I better have some other shit in place.
Yep.
It's like kind of messed up.
Hey, who was the guy who fought in the last card?
We have to look it up. I don't remember.
Gilbert.
Oh, Gilbert Burns. Let's go.
Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, dude.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like he fought 1 month before.
Oh yeah,
because I thought
he didn't lose though.
I thought the last fight I watched, I remember.
Yeah, he beat Jorge Masvidal. He retired Jorge Masvidal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then a month later, he's fighting again, and he lost this most recent fight.
Who did he fight? I can't remember.
That guy, and he lost. But I was like, how could he?
Bilal Muhammad,
how could he be fighting a month after he fought? That's rare, isn't? Is that not rare?
It is rare.
Okay,
it is rare.
And
but
it seems like a bad idea.
I mean,
but he can do whatever he wants.
No, man, that Masvidal fight, he didn't really get hit that much. Like if you watch that, you saw the Masvidal fight then.
Yeah,
he didn't get touched that much. So it's like you just stay, like you probably recover for a couple days, a week.
Okay,
jump right back in. I mean, you don't see me doing that. I wouldn't do that, but you know, like I mean,
I just didn't know they let him even fight a month apart. I thought they only fought like a couple times a year.
I think that's a testament to how little he got touched in that Masvidal fight, bro.
Okay, he came out of there feeling good.
Oh, dude, and like physically good. Like,
okay,
I'm good. I'm kind of sweaty.
Well, that makes all the difference, I guess.
For sure, yeah. And that Bilal Muhammad fight, that was crazy.
How much do you think it costs to go to a UFC fight like that fight?
Oh, dude, me and my boy looked that up one time. Are you ready for this? So, like, how much is it to see a Nashville soccer game or something?
I don't know. It can't be more than $100, right? $150.
Yeah, it depends where you're at.
At most.
Let's say you get some bougie seats and they're like $500 or something, right?
Right.
So the Octagon.
Yeah, that's like Preds. Like that's expensive.
Okay, $500 is expensive for. I mean, there's no way I can afford any of that. But anyways, so the Octagon, right? This guy to sit like ringside. It's actually like a section, you know, that goes to the like kind of edge of where an arena is, where before the bleachers start to go. So like me and a buddy looked that up, and like one wedge, so a piece of cheese, you know, like either you're in the tip of the cheese or you're in the near the rind, either one. That whole section we looked up, it was for a card in Vegas. I was like, dude, what if I get a crazy placement? We just a ton of money. Yeah, I'm gonna go see a fight for my birthday. Like, we're being stupid. Let's look it up. So we look it up, dude. A seat in that section was $5,000 a seat.
But how about farther up? Like, can you get into a UFC fight for a couple $100?
Probably. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You think?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay, I just thought maybe it would be even more than that.
No. I mean, it's worth looking up. I don't actually know. I just remember looking at the rich people seats. I was like, damn.
No, I'm not shocked by that at all. But I wonder how the experience would be if you were kind of in the nosebleeds. Would it be the type of thing where it's like a football game where sometimes it's better just to watch it on TV than it would be to even be there?
That would be my argument. I mean, I have been to one UFC event in Nashville, and it was when oh man, I'm spacing on his name. Kind of doesn't matter. Been to one, and it was like a ultra hookup. Like a friend had a friend who worked for the UFC, and like that friend did like their social media at the time.
Oh man.
So he got comps, and like my mom saw me on TV.
Nice.
Like that's how close we were. Like
wow.
Bruce Buffer was like warming up to go up there. Like we were the last people you see before they go in the octagon. It was so close. So close.
This was a legit pay-per-view?
It wasn't. It was a fight night. It was a fight night that was in Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was so sick. And I will say, if I got 10 G's, me and my boy were going to that UFC fight because that shit was crazy.
Was it? I'll bet it is electrifying, dude. If you have good seats.
Dog. There was a heavyweight. Like, it changed the way I saw the pay-per-views. Because, wow. There was a heavyweight fight in particular, and the fight ends in a KO. But, like, the shot that landed, you could hear the impact, and you could hear the physical impact of his fist, and the from the guy getting knocked out. And then, like, where I was, it was like a movie because, like, dude throws the shot, other guy goes into the astral world, and then you see, like, a ray of sweat just disappear into the ether. It was so sick.
Oh, my goodness.
It was crazy. Yeah, heavyweights are sick again.
Yeah, oh, my goodness.
It was nuts. It was
that has to be an
cool
experience like little other.
Yeah. I mean, and like when you're that close, there's the ring, and then there's tons of blind spots which suck, like because the post or the octagon itself. But then you do have the screens, which kind of compensates for that. And then you're in the room, you're in the energy. I don't like to have things behind me, but for some reason, there, it feels like we're all in this thing together.
Yes.
Like crowding over the octagon.
Yep.
It felt really cool. It was nuts.
Wow,
I would
is
totally
so cool.
do it again. But I had some friends who were like in the poor people seats.
Yeah. I'm sure that's a way different experience.
Probably sucks
way
ass.
different
Yeah,
experience.
dude. Yeah.
Yes.
No. I would.
Yep.
You couldn't like. That seat is more expensive than buying the card at your house. And I go to Buffalo Wild Wings because I don't want to pay for the card.
Yep.
So it's like, well, I'd rather just pay for the card and watch it in my house then.
Yeah.
And be like super comfortable and have whatever snacks I want.
Yes.
At that point. And I don't think it's worth it. Yeah.
I think with probably a lot of events, where your seat is makes the total difference. Because I have to imagine an NFL game standing on the sideline is probably pretty awesome.
Probably insane, right?
But when you're way up in the stands, it's like, this would be better at home watching it on the TV.
Have you been like super close in any sports event?
The closest I was at with the Titans was in a preseason game, and we were like very close, and that's cool. Pretty cool. But it's preseason, so it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. They're playing though.
What I noticed the most was
football, right?
They are. Well, what I did think about that was how big the dudes were and how much smaller the field seemed than on TV.
I was going to ask that next. Is it small?
Yeah, it kind of felt small.
Huh.
On TV, the field looks really big, and the dudes don't seem as the dudes seem more small, like regular.
Right.
But when you get close to an NFL, at least that was my experience, whoa, the field seems a little smaller than I was picturing, but the dudes, they're bigger than I was picturing.
Did you feel like, because I imagine, my brain still says a football field is huge. Could you see everything really well? Like if you're, like
pretty
both
well.
end zones?
Yeah, fair, yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
What the takeaway I think from that was like, oh wow, it must be really hard to move this ball 20 yards. You know, because if the field was as big as I pictured it on TV, it'd be like, yeah, that's about right. It's such a huge field. No wonder it's hard to get a touchdown. No, it's just hard to move the ball in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like to move the ball it's hard.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard.
Interesting. So you felt like so it gave you a deeper respect for players,
a deeper respect
for
the sport. Yeah.
That's cool.
Because of how hard it must be to move the ball, down the field for sure.
Yeah. Do you ever want your kids to play football?
No, I don't. I don't want them to play football. I am wishy-washy on whether I will allow them to play it right now. A couple years ago, the thinking was that I would not allow them to play it. So even if they wanted to play high school football, I would basically not allow them to.
Yeah.
And now I don't know how I feel about that. Jackson's playing flag football. He's 10, and he's good, which kind of sucks. And
oh no!
And
Finds
Jericho
archery,
is Jericho's 6, and I think he might. He concerns me because he has 2 older brothers, and he's just naturally athletic, and he obsesses over stuff.
Yeah, and whatever older brother does, right?
Yeah, yes and no. Like he'll just obsess about stuff, and he'll just do something 1,000 times, and then he gets freaking good at it.
Yeah.
And he was out playing catch with the boys the other night, and he is natural. He's got the natural stuff, and
dang.
So would I actually let them play high school football, which bleeds into possibly playing in college?
Right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But I really don't want them to. Honestly, I really don't. It's
scary, right?
I mean, if it is, if they have a actual shot at the NFL, which there's, what are those chances? Basically none. But if they could actually get in, even then, I don't know, dude. It's just, I know the sport has gotten safer, but it's it's not good for you long term.
I mean, how safe can it be running full speed into another human being with your head pointed at them?
Well, that's why there's rules against doing exactly that. But
that's not how it works.
No, there's rules. Not anymore. Yeah.
They're not wearing leather helmets.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, there's things like targeting and all that, but concussions still happen a ton, and I think it'd be better if I don't know. I think. Actually, in general, what I really think is culturally, I think sports are just a little bit overrated. I think it depends where you live, but I think in Nashville, the Nashville culture around sports and kids is just a little bit overrated. I see the value in it. I'm cool with them playing sports. It's all good. Let's do it. But I don't think it's quite the end-all, be-all like a lot of parents think it is.
Right. Dude, I look at most sports, hockey, football, baseball sometimes, and everyone's favorite part is when they fight. Like, that was my whole thing when I started getting into jiu-jitsu. I was like, oh, and then I discovered, like I finally stumbled into the UFC, and I was like, wait, this is the part everyone's going for.
Oh, yeah, I see your point.
You guys like hockey, and you go nuts when they fight. Well, guess what? There's a sport where they only do that, and they're not even cold.
Yeah,
like
you're right. I see your point. I think it depends on the fan, because I never really liked when they fought in hockey. Let me rephrase that. When I was most following the sport is when I least liked when they fought.
Okay, got it.
You know what I mean?
Got it.
So I think there's some correlation to, like, how people who don't watch football, they get all excited about the commercials of the Super Bowl. Then the actual football fans are like, okay.
Posers, dorks.
Yeah, eye roll. But I think people that aren't that into hockey, they love when there's fighting in hockey too. It's like, okay. But the people that are really into it, just like when they play the game,
Yeah.
But I see your point about, people that are just, if you're there for the fights, UFC is where that. UFC is just has such high consequence. What I've noticed when I'm watching the fights is that I will unconsciously, my body will tense up.
Yeah.
And then every so often I'm like, oh. And then I'll
breathe
and I'll like relax my body.
Yeah.
And then while my body's tight, and I'm like, oh, I'm tight again. Okay, relax. Like and I'm just watching it, but I think that speaks to like what there is in that sport. It's such high consequence.
Well, and like the kind of how easy it is to like connect to the primal nature of it, for sure. Like that's definitely a thing. But also too, like, I'm gonna be real, my Miami super comes out when I watch. Like if I like really care and I watch like the embeddeds, like the stuff before, and I'm like, and I really like a fighter, like I'll stand up and like start screaming and cursing in Spanish and shit. Yeah.
Oh,
let's go.
You know Spanish?
I mean, más o menos,
was it your
bro.
First language? No.
No, I wish, but I failed in that regard. Yeah.
So were you born in Miami?
Yeah. A little hospital in the hood called Jackson Memorial, and then I grew up in a area or a ghetto down there called Little Havana.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's still hard as hell, but it was back then.
Really?
Yeah.
How about Natalie? Where'd she grow
up? So Natalie's way more interesting than me. She should be here. I mean, whatever. She's way cooler than I am. But she was an MK, like a missionary's kid. So she grew up. She was born in Haiti. Then she lived in the Bahamas till she was
born
like,
in Haiti as a missionary's kid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, her older, so she's got a sister, 2 brothers, and then her. So the youngest of 4. Her sister, Sonia, was born in Japan. Hello. Yeah.
Whoa.
Very cool. And then her and her 2 other brothers were born in Haiti. And then they moved to the Bahamas shortly after that. And so she lived in the Bahamas till she was like 8. And then she moved to the States. High school, college in Chicago, and then she lived in Vienna for 4 years teaching art at a private school out there. And then she moved to the States and ruined her life and met me.
Whoa. Where did she meet you?
We used to work at the same church. I used to be a worship leader.
In Miami?
South Florida, not Miami. It was like Pembroke Pines area, which is like more in line with like Hollywood Beach, which is a few counties north.
Okay. And
Broward County.
You met at this church?
Mm-hmm.
You were the worship leader and she was attending?
Oh, man, this church is a cluster. I won't out anyone. But yeah, I was a worship leader. They had a lot.
There's churches that are clusters?
Most of them?
Yeah.
Question mark?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Exclamation point?
I think you're right about that.
Oh, dude, yeah, I have like such a like extensive church working history. It's preposterous. Like, that's why I like our church.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's the opposite of all the shit I've seen.
So, does Natalie have an art background?
Yeah. She went to college for fine art. So, when she finished, she worked at a publishing house for a couple of years, like Tyndale Publishing. They do a bunch of books, apparently. And then she went...
I think that's one of the big ones.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
I think Tyndale does books. I think you had that right.
They've made a book or something. I don't know. They print it with a printer. You might read it. And then she went to Europe. Yeah. And now she's a graphic designer, which you know.
I do know.
I like how you call me. You're like, she does great work. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. I know.
Well, she does great work.
Yeah, she's
I
awesome.
don't know if you do know.
Yeah, I do. She's awesome.
She does good work. And you saying that she has an art background makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense because, I mean, my experience with graphic designers has been in various businesses. And they're hard to find.
Yeah.
They're
they
hard
can
to
be really
find.
sterile or like copy paste and kind of like, there's like layers to the game, right? Levels to the game.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that can go. Well, first of all, the barrier to entry is very low. So I could get a laptop and whatever I need.
In design,
I'm a graphic designer and I could put my shingle on. So there's a lot of that out there, first of all.
Slap it on your LinkedIn.
Yeah. And then there's a lot that think through the design in terms of how they're approaching it as opposed to what the brand should be conveying, you know?
Yep.
And so then that's another level. And then there's another level of it just being not just on brand, but like tight and coherent and right, you know, like beautiful in its own way. And Brian Boble has that.
Yeah.
And he used to work with a guy named Paul Farmer. He had it. And Natalie's good, man.
Well, it's like,
she's good.
Like, I mean, kind of any job. And I don't know if this is right, but I feel like most jobs or any job that you do, like you're basically problem solving. Mm-hmm. And like, not all problems are bad. It's like, hey, here's this logo and it's a logo. It works.
Right.
But like, how do we make it excellent?
Yep.
So the problem is the barrier between whatever this is and excellence.
Yep.
You're like, how do we get there?
Yes.
And
yes.
like she is excellent at problem solving.
Yes. No, okay. I can see that because what I have been very used to is you get some design work done and then it comes back and then you have edits and inputs and changes and then those edits get done and then you have more edits, and it's rare to have something come back that's ready to go.
Oh yeah, totally.
Or
like close.
Most of her stuff is it comes back and it's ready to go.
So let me ask you something. So besides working at the church, I've always wondered this. So besides working at the church, do you do other things? You seem like a guy who's like always hustling.
Yeah. So
in a good way.
I've never worked at church before, and will never work at another one, I'm sure. But
diamond in the rough.
We had so I grew up in a family business, so I got a really young start in business,
cool. Okay.
and really enjoyed that. And that was straight out of high school. Could have went to college, but my dad died when I was 10. My mom took over that business, and it was like 5-6 people. And then she ran it for about 10 years and was getting kind of burnt out. So out of high school, I just took it over from her. And
out of high school, you took over the family business.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
But I was already working there on weekends and summers, and ever since I was a little kid.
Okay.
And so then ran that for about a dozen years, and we grew into. That's what brought us to Nashville. Was we moved headquarters here, and that was better for logistical reasons. We had locations in New York and South Carolina and Texas, and then Tennessee, and also taxes was better here. And then that was half of it, and the other half was we were just looking to raise our kids in the South. Frankly, I was getting more and more tired of the snow and all that, and Nashville was very appealing. And we moved to Nashville, and it was like, boom, the right decision. It felt like home immediately.
That's great. That's great.
March of 2014. It was cold, and there was 6 inches of snow on the ground in upstate New York. We drove through Erie, PA. It went to negative 15 degrees. When we arrived in Nashville, it was 35. And it was like, all right, this is...
Yeah, there you go.
It was like, all right, this is the right direction.
Yeah.
And so then... I think I've always had a little bit of an entrepreneurial streak. I got that from my dad. And so I had started a few other companies also in that period of time. And then then there was a stretch there in 2016. I hired a CEO from outside the family to run the main company. That didn't go very well. And then I came back in 2019 to try to turn it around.
Yeah.
And at that point had probably started like 3 or 4 other companies. Sold all of those, sold all of our properties, sold all of our assets basically to generate turnaround capital for the main company.
Yeah.
Weren't able to do it, so shut it down. And that was like, we shut it down literally when COVID started. Whoa. So that actually worked in our favor because shutting down, I mean, that company at its peak had like 180 employees.
Okay.
So when you shut that down, it's very painful.
Yeah.
And so shutting all that down, actually COVID was kind of helpful for us because then everyone was focused on COVID, you know?
Yeah.
And
surviving that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that happened, and then we were able to kind of basically the rest of 2020, I didn't start anything. We did a crap ton of podcasts. We were doing like a podcast a day.
I bet you were.
Because we still had the office, and so we turned it into a studio and just did a bunch of podcasting for the rest of 2020.
Sidebar. Was that weird then? Like, I'm not trying to get into all this, but like, were you like, did you have to do all the testing and like all that craziness?
Oh no, with basically
with your podcast.
No, it wasn't weird. You know, I wasn't worried about it. I was at first. There was a 2 to 3 week window where I was terrified.
3 weeks.
No, I'm serious. I had a bunch of surgical gloves. I gave them to TJ, and I was like, bro, you get gas, put these gloves on.
Yeah, so funny.
You know, there was someone coming into the office to do something, and I was like, what do you guys, you know, have a death wish or whatever? This was like in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I was terrified of it.
Yeah.
I mean, because I didn't know.
Nobody knew. Yeah.
It seemed pretty clear to me, like 3-4 weeks in, you know, who was at risk and maybe who was not and stuff. And so then I wasn't worried about it. I think the first I got it was like in June or July of actually 2021. But no, some people were, you know, we kind of had the little elbow bump for taking a picture after the podcast. That kind of stuck instead of shaking people's hands. But you know, it didn't work to do a podcast with a mask on. So, but there was some people who didn't want to do it because they were worried about it and didn't want to do anything in person. That was totally fine. But I wasn't worried about it at that point. So then in early 2021, I started this company called Lifted. We rent out that trailer you see in our front yard out there.
Okay.
It's a patented roofing trailer for roofers.
Okay.
And I have a partner with that. His name is Jarrell. And he was on this podcast, our first episode back. And
shout out Jarrell.
Shout out to Jarrell Sensnick.
Jarrell.
And so we have that, but that's not a big focus because that company's very easy and Jarrell's involved, and so
that's cool. So it's a roofing business?
It is basically it's an equipment rental business. So we rent those trailers to roofers. Yeah. So they pay us by the day, week, or month to rent those trailers.
Damn it, man.
Well,
that's so smart.
Idea. It wasn't my idea. I mean, I
need to do that. I need to rent. Yeah. I'm going to rent you this cup, bro. You're stuck. You need this.
Yes. Yes. Well, after the mics turn off, we'll wait till the mics turn off.
Yeah, sounds good. Anyways, so the rental company.
Yeah,
for the roofing business.
It's just that. Yeah,
cool.
That's on the side.
So you're just doing that in the church?
Yes. But
sick.
I'm the executive director of the church, so I want that to be my focus.
Yeah.
So
dude, what is that?
Yeah, and just to say more about that, when I went there, I stopped doing the podcast because I didn't want anything distracting.
Oh.
I had already started Lifted, but Jarrell was running it. I talked to TJ about this side thing, but Jarrell's running it. It's not going to distract from church, and it didn't. It never has.
That's cool. Yeah. That's great.
And I can't, you know. So the focus though is my role at church. I mean, I want to take that seriously, you know.
Yeah.
Like
that's cool.
I'm the executive director. That's there's expectations around that, and there should be.
Yeah.
So basically, TJ, you know, is teaching, preaching, vision. You know, I mean, he's the leader of the church. He's the lead pastor. Yeah. And then I handle the kind of the business side of the church. So the finances.
Okay. You're the money guy.
Yeah. Speaking to the ministry strategy a little bit, lead the staff. The pastors report to TJ. The rest of the staff reports to me.
Cool.
And just basically try to free up all that, you know, administrative stuff.
Right.
Off of so TJ didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's cool.
One of the things I noticed getting at church, this was like the first thing I noticed, is how much better supported I was there in my role than when I was a business owner.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, like people, you probably understand what this feels like. Colby does, but anyone who owns a business knows, you know, you're kind of out there by yourself.
Facts.
I mean, you have your team. You might have a team under you and around you in a sense, but it's you.
Yeah.
You know, there's not like a support system. And at church, you know, there's me, but then I have TJ. I have the elders. I have the finance advisory board. I have the congregation, even to some sense, you know.
Yeah, totally.
So you feel very well, like surrounded and supported.
That's awesome.
That was the first thing I noticed was, okay, this is a very strange feeling.
Yeah.
Because I was used to, you know, business owners know what I'm talking about. Like you feel like you're out there on your own. Well, that's because you kind of are.
Yeah, and people eat or don't based on decisions that you make. I can imagine that's very weighty.
That's right. Yep.
Do you feel that same sort? Like, I mean, I know you feel supported at the church, but do you feel that same sort of responsibility or weight?
I feel the responsibility, but I don't feel the same weight.
Oh, cool. That's great.
Not even close, really, because, you know, first of all, the risk is not anywhere close to what I was accustomed to experiencing. Now, I think that my level for risk, I was thinking about this recently. I think I didn't think about risk properly, and I think that's partly why we had to shut the big company down, because I didn't probably understand and certainly didn't value the risk that was present anywhere close to the level that I should have.
Dang.
So I was very accustomed to risk and feeling what that was, but it's all I'd ever known. So I didn't really understand, you know, how that was maybe not where it should have been.
Right.
So at church, there's just nowhere close to the level of risk that I was used to experiencing.
It's great.
So if you take, for sure. I mean, so if you take that risk out, you know, it takes a lot of the pressure, the weight off.
Sick. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
You still feel that sense of responsibility, but.
Well, I'm glad you do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you should.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I feel like I don't need, like when I first met you, I was like, where the hell did this guy come from? Who is this guy? And he knew my name too. I was like, the fuck?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, who are you?
How did I know your name?
I have no idea. You tell me.
What period of time are we talking about? Like a couple months ago or like a couple years ago?
That's hilarious. No, man. Like, I think the first time I met you was like a weekend I was playing or something. You're like, hey, Dan, good to see you, bro. And I was like, hey, man.
Okay.
And I was like,
yeah.
Who is this?
Yeah. Well, you were in the band.
And you were working at the church, too.
Oh, right.
And I was like,
got it.
Where did this guy come from?
Yes.
You know? And it's not like a disrespectful thing, but it was just definitely like, okay, word.
Yeah. Well, next time I'll be sure to introduce myself.
When you meet me?
Yeah. Thank you for coming on the podcast, dude. Anything else you want to talk about?
I'm cruising, man.
This was fun.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Have you back on again sometime. Talk about some more UFC stuff, maybe.
Dude, I would love it. I would love it. Anytime you want, I'm here.
All right. Anything else you want to say? We didn't get into your music stuff at all, but
okay.
And people might want to check you out on Instagram at least. Where could they go for that?
So I am a music producer, and I go by the handle Brackish. My Instagram is @BRCKSH.
Can you explain where that comes from? By the way, I've always been curious.
Absolutely. So I don't usually do things that mean something too much, but when I do, I like to think about it or make it count. Brackish is a type of water that's mixed with inland water or still water and ocean water, salt water. I consider myself to be brackish because not only am I mixed Hispanic and Italian, I'm from South Florida, living in Nashville. And another one, the last house Natalie and I lived in South Florida was on brackish water. We were on a canal, so we had ocean access from the canal. It's kind of fun. But
how is brackish spelled? Like
BRACKISH. So I just took the A and the.
You took the letters. A and the I out. Yeah. So what's your handle again?
BRCKSH.
Okay.
Not Bakirsh.
Yeah.
You say brackish, but you spell it Bakirsh.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I asked about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So people can go to your Instagram.
Yeah, check out my Instagram.
Find out about your work.
Yeah, I have a link to my website there. I do production camps and stuff like that.
And that's how you're feeding your face, right? And your family.
Feeding the face. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I got some side hustles too, but okay. I didn't tell you. Oh yeah, I did. We started with this working at the gym.
Now but that's recent, right?
Right, yeah. Yep. So music production's still like the main thing, but definitely enjoying teaching.
Yep. Yeah. Awesome, dude. This was fun.
Dude,
thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Great time. See ya. Bye, everybody.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.